Ding, 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 ding.
What's out there? What creates the shadows in the corners or the creatures of the dark? Who are those on the other side? What do they have to say? This is the Gateway Podcast. This is not your normal style of paranormal talk radio. Brought to you live from United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM New Orleans.
The Church of Mavis Radio Show, Friday nights at 8 p.m., 7 Central, starring Jeffrey Pritchett with his co-hosts Wham and Jay McNicholas, right here on the United Paranormal Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM, New Orleans.
Hi, and thank you all for joining us today. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans.
When they are consuming your minds and your thoughts and your dreams, from the angels to the demons and to the mysteries unseen, there is no need to worry. There is no need for dread. It's just time to discuss the thing at the foot of the bed.
Welcome to Negotiating Happiness, the show that helps you find happiness, success, and balance in your work and life. I'm Adriana Fiestra, your host for this journey into entrepreneurship and personal growth. We're broadcasting live on 107.7 and 105.3 FM in New Orleans as part of the United Public Radio Network. We explore the latest strategies, insights, and stories from successful entrepreneurs and experts. From managing stress to building a thriving business, we've got you covered.
Hi, I'm Brittany Ashley, your host of Breaking Norms, Building Dreams, your guide through this transformative journey in both business and life. This is your place crafted for dreamers, doers, or anyone who has been told they can't. Get ready as we challenge those narratives together. You're tuning in live to the United Public Radio Network, airing on 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. We are streaming on all the popular platforms every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me for a candid and thought-provoking conversation celebrating your unique journey because you are worth it.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
Oh no, not these guys again.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I like them, Joe. I like them.
I think the guys are great. It's Christmas. We're going to be talking about Jesus. Can't ask for a better start.
What would Jesus do?
Y'all just jealous y'all can't hit notes like this.
I wonder if that's small boy Catholic school.
I think
Christmas is here, bringing the cheer to young and old. Peak and the boat, ding dong ding dong. First is the sun, winter will bring more caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they come, raising the sound, all in a dance and in a tent. Hey, 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 while people sing songs of good cheer, Christmas is here. Hey, 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 while people sing songs of good cheer, Christmas is here. Christmas is here, bringing good cheer. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they come, raising the sound, joining us, dancing in the sun. Hey, 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 while people sing songs of good cheer, Christmas is here. Hey, 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 while people sing songs of good cheer, Christmas is here. Hark how the bells all seem to say, Christmas is here, bringing good cheer. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they come, raising the sound, joining us, dancing in the sun. Hey, 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 while people sing songs of good cheer, Christmas is here. Hey, 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 while people sing songs of good cheer, Christmas is here. Merry, merry, merry Christmas. Merry, merry, merry Christmas. All will be said, all will attend, there's rejoice to everyone.
Wow, that's CGI there.
this was long before CGI.
Hark how the bells all seem to say, ding dong, ding dong.
Ding dong, ding dong.
That is their song.
Oh man, your song always puts me in a good mood. It's a little strange, a little weird, a little high pitched for my ears sometimes. But welcome everyone to News on the Flip Side. We have an intro song, but somehow or another I lost it, so we're kind of on.
Well, I have it. I have the background version. It won't be as loud.
It's
I don't know.
wait, it should be on here. I don't know where it went. Let's go see one more time. Ginger, where the hell are you at, Ginger? I got too much stuff open. Hold on, let me see. I just seen a thing pop up on the screen. Oh, I need to turn that down for that drives me crazy. All right. Where? Well, I don't know where you are. I'm not sure where the hell I am, to be honest with you. Anyway, guys and girls. You're in that messenger. It took me forever to find it. Oh no, that song it was in the 90s, I think, when it was recorded. Somebody said it was the 80s, but I think it was like mid 90s or something. I'd have to go look, to be honest.
It's fairly old, but I don't think it's. I think it's late 90s.
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. It's So these kids are all like 40 now, you know. If they tried to hit a note like that, they'd probably hurt themselves. Every time that little kid does that, you know, that pitch, I'm like, oh my God, man. I definitely hurt something trying to do that. Well, no, my voice, as the older I get, the deeper it gets. If I start doing that monotone shit, it's like, I sound like I'm from Scotland or something, man. I mean, shit. No, actually, there's a couple things, but we're going to be talking a little bit about Jesus tonight. Mainly, okay, before anybody writes in and tells me something stupid or moronic or ignorant, this is not about the biblical figure. This is about the man. We may touch here and there on things that deal with the Bible, but for the most part, we're really just talking about who he was, where did he go, what did he do, he lived for quite a long time before he actually died. And I know the official statement is 33, but I'm thinking more like 45. But we'll get into that as we go.
I think it's closer to like late 30s, maybe not as old as 45, but 41, 42.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's not something. That's not even something to argue about. But I just know it's not 33.
So,
I know it's got to be at least 40 something.
The problem is, at the time of his death and the time of his birth, there's no archaeological evidence. The man was a peasant. So, I mean, I read an article earlier today. The guy said that peasants don't usually make archaeological waves. They don't leave a lot of evidence behind.
In his case, there should have been
order from Pontius Pilate naming the man Jesus of Nazareth, and I don't think we have anything like that.
But
all the accounts we have are from the biblical Gospels.
How can you trust somebody who writes something that they weren't living back then?
Well, that too. That's what I'm saying. If we don't have Pontius Pilate's order to have Jesus of Nazareth crucified on this date in this year, 33 or 34 or 30, whatever year it is, people argue on the day when he died. That it is 30 BC or 30 CE or 33 CE. Some people say that's how old he was. He probably was born somewhere between 4 and 6 or 7 BCE. So he was 7 or 8 at the turn of the century. 6 or 7 or 8 at the turn of the century.
So that's what I'm saying. I mean, when you listen to this is what the issues are. Okay, so back in the day, today not so much, but back in the day, if you were going to be a certified rabbi, you needed to be married and at least 35. And the reason I think it was back then to be 35, because today you can do it anywhere from your 20s, 40s, or 50s. It just depends on when you start school and who you with and what denomination.
35 also.
So the thing of that is, man. Yeah. So the thing about it is, yeah, but not so much in the Middle East. They live to be at least 50. So the thing of it is when did he meet Mary Magdalene? When he came back from wherever he was, or from whenever the desolation of where no one knew what he was doing was. He came back, he got married, and then there's the thing about, okay, did he have children? Is there documentation that says he had children? If he did, how many children did he have? And if it is, what is the true bloodline name? Because as far as I know, there's no bloodline called Jesus Christ. So,
or of Nazareth.
Or would actually been what was it? Would have been Jesus
Christ. Nazareth.
It wasn't even Christ. It was Christodo. I forgot how they pronounced it. But
there's all kinds of Greek versions: Christos, Christados, Christian, Christianos. There's 1,000 different variations on the name. It doesn't make them, related. Hey, Steve.
There was no J name back then, so there was no J.
No, and Jesus' name actually isn't Jesus.
It was
he was named
Yahweh.
after Joseph.
Yeah, it was just I was gonna say it's just the way they did Yahweh.
It's a form of like
Yahweh
or Joseph Jr. and it starts with an I.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of ways you could do
it. A J after time.
You got an I, you got an L, and you got a Y.
But he was born in the house of Judah, and Judah was responsible. I mean, that's where the word Jew comes from. Judea was named after him. It was one of the 12 tribes, and then the line of Judah was a big deal. So they kept looking for this.
He was born in the region of Judea, either whether it's Bethlehem or Nazareth.
Then they thought John the Baptist was the Messiah, and they were fixated on that. But and then Jesus apparently had a twin named Thomas. There's a whole bunch of talk about that, but people don't want to. It's always funny when we talk about to Christians because they don't want to hear anything. Like they don't want to hear it, man. Like they think that what they know is verbatim. Nothing can change. But if anything, life teaches us is that things can change. I mean, just when you think things are great, everything turns to crap. Things can change. You know what I mean? But with Jesus, if he's walking around performing miracles. And apparently Thomas could too. And Thomas was one of his disciples. And Thomas means twin. I don't know. What do you guys think of that?
Well, I mean, you always hear about doubting Thomas, at some point that he doubts Jesus at every turn. And then each time he doubts Jesus proves to Thomas that he can do that. So I don't know. Maybe that's the Thomas we're thinking of. Also,
You
that's the
know
only
what?
Thomas that I
I
know of.
was thinking that the same thing, but I tell you what, Thomas was like the coolest dude ever, man. Because his thought, the reason why his story wasn't put in the Bible, because he did not believe in going to a building, a four-wall building, and praying with thousands of people to get God's love. Thomas believed he can go anywhere and pray to God, and God will help love him.
Yeah, that's why they have the St. Thomas Gospel or the St. Thomas Epistle, whatever you
They're
want to
all
call
Jewish,
it,
you know,
before anybody
and
wants to write to me.
but Jesus he himself told people to pray in private, you know. So there is. It was after he had gone that Peter and Paul kind of ran the gamut. And one wanted to be very strict Jewish rules, the other one not, and then both of them were businessmen, both of them, you know. So you can see, and then they were putting their ideas and their things into all what Jesus said, or this is what he said, and that type. So you know, from that point on, what can you believe with people that would certainly, if they're looking for
Okay, so
power.
with we're talking about Jesus being the man, just a man, not what the Bible says. How do you think he got by picking these people? I don't want to say follow him. I just want to say like a good group of friends hanging around him. How do you think
Well,
he
I
got?
mean, they weren't really friends if you looked into the history of it. And then it was more the megalomania around him that people were gathering, people were listening. There were things happening. And then, you know, and then Jesus, like they had him depicted speaking to thousands of people up on a mountain, whatever. There weren't thousands of people around. It was hard to get a group of people together that were maybe, you know, maybe 100 people, something like that.
Yeah,
But
and
but
being back
there's
then, I don't think it would be hard to get people to listen to you. Period. Whether you were talking bullshit or facts, because most people didn't have the ability to read.
but
They
the
didn't
thing
have
is, if
not modern
if
flipping
you're
books today. People could not read those. If they even could get their hands on a scroll back then, they probably wouldn't be able to read it. So verbal tradition was the way things got handed down and handed down. So I don't think any of the 12 apostles or Jesus or Mary Magdalene or his father, Mary and Joseph, would have any problem gathering crowds. You just start talking, and I'll guarantee you that what else is there to do? There's
But you
no
would have to go long and
publicity.
far to find
So,
thousands of people. I mean, there weren't
yeah, I think
because
they would have
it
no
was
problem
sparse.
gathering crowds
Life,
ever.
life was hard. It was sparse. It wasn't
Yeah.
like it was overflowing with people. And on top of that, then you have a segment of the population that doesn't want to hear it. They're going to listen because they think that it goes way against what they believe as Jews. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so there's a lot to it. I mean, this, you know, they still don't know what the hell is going on. It was a very rough time. You know, Jesus wasn't rich. He didn't have a ton of stuff. I mean, they went around. He had his own ideas, and he went around telling
If he
people.
grew up as the gospel says, like I said, the only real historical background we have of the man is from the gospels. And what is it, like 12 or 20 some years are missing from like his birth to his
12 from
12
the when he was the age of 12 up to the age of 35 is missing.
Yeah, he
Well,
took off, man. He had to get out of town. Things were getting hot. You know, you got to go, man. You don't always have enough money to leave
things didn't
town.
get hot if we can believe any bits of the Bible as being historical fact, and some of it is, and some of it is BS because it's been edited and redacted and changed so many times over the years. We don't have the real story or the full story. Number one
No.
and number two. But if we're to believe the Bible, where did he go for 20 some years?
The Bible, the
There's
one
no
that you really need to read.
record of him anywhere else in the world. If there was someone that big after he challenged the moneylenders, that's when he made the big stink. But while he's talking to people, he's not doing any harm. Well, once he challenges the moneylenders, that's when people go looking for him. But there's still that missing time. Where is he in those 20 some years?
Took off. He took off,
Some
man.
people
He
say
took off.
he went all the way
He
over to Asia.
found Mary Magdalene, and he had a daughter. Is what happened.
I've heard about that too, but some say he went over to Asia and actually met with and hung out with Siddhartha Gautama, who becomes the guy who becomes Buddha.
I can't believe that. I don't.
There's art. There is ancient artworks of a man who looks strikingly like Jesus, except more Jewish toned.
But if he would have been hanging out with
And
Buddha,
Buddha.
it would have been when he was missing.
They
not
don't
when
know what he
came
looked like. Nobody knows what he looked like.
Everybody
I-
knows
They
what
got
Buddha looks
a
like.
description, but nobody
all
really
the
knows.
good stuff happens after he comes back. The marriage, the kids, everything that goes down happens after he's back. So those 12 years he's missing, or actually longer than that, to 18
But
or
he's
20
got the
years.
12 to
story
35.
with
That's
12
like
other
17,
deities,
18
man.
years. That's a
I
long
mean,
time.
It's a long
You have
time.
to be able to explain that. With Horus, the Egyptian god, he's got the identical story. I mean, identical, you know? So I mean, even down to the details. So, I mean, was he real? Was he not real? I mean, people
We know he's real because one, the Muslims write about him. He's actually in the Quran, so he's actually in it.
all three books: the Jewish Bible, the Koran Bible, and
He's in both of the other books. He's considered to be a minor prophet, and that's what he was. That's what he was considered in the ancient world. The Jews considered him that. The Muslims considered him that. Only the Christians considered him, which was
Jews never
was a
considered
made
him
up
the Messiah.
religion. Yeah, you have to remember this was a made up religion. This religion didn't exist. It didn't exist while Christ was alive, because I don't think he would have endorsed the freaking religion to start off with. So they had pretty much had to wait till it was at least 100 years, because anybody who knew him was not going to be down with the way this religion turned out to be. And if you go back and read because there's still ancient Bibles out there that you can find, that just they're nothing like what you read today. Nothing.
No,
They're just it's like it's like you're in. I mean, it's like two different worlds existed or something. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
The full Bible has
Right.
124 chapters. It's over 3,000 pages if you have the whole Bible. The closest
point
one
of it is a lot of this is
still being
supposed to
printed
be
is the
history.
88 chapter Ethiopian version, but the KJV or King James version is like 62 chapters. It's cut in half.
So now let's get into some stuff we know now because it's writing. So, they didn't know where he went. Well, we know he was in Rome because there was at least 3 different governors wrote to the emperor and said, "Hey, whoa, just little something." They figured he was like mid-20-ish guy or something. What do you want us to do about this guy running around talking smack, doing this, doing that? And it's Britain, so people can't even argue with this. This actually still exists today. The emperor said, "Well, he's not doing anything. He's not hurting anybody. Let's not turn him into a martyr. Let him do his
It
thing."
wasn't
And
until he
if he
challenged
gets
the
too,
money man he was a criminal, right?
if he gets too crazy, run him out of your town. But they didn't want to do it. They didn't, for some reason. And even when they finally, cast him up, when they finally decided to kill him, even then, the Romans made the crowd decide. He would not decide himself. He was like, no, because as far as he was concerned, he was an innocent man. So he wasn't going to decide. But regardless, this is all throughout. So we know one of the emperors. I can't remember the Muslims emperor. He was he's right there in the Middle East. I'll have to go find it. It's in the thing. He actually wrote to Jesus probably sometime when he was in his late 20s, maybe early 30s, probably his late 20s, and asked him if he could come help to cure him of some disease he had. So there's actually physical writings. There's about 24 of them that I know of outside of Christianity that says this man existed and he was doing things and roaming around and being seen by people. But the Christians, for some reason, refuse to pick that up, and that's for a whole nother show. I mean, I don't know why it's like that. What is that, James? No, I was raised Catholic, dude. Don't even go there. I used to.
So was I.
Well, so here's a good question, and Joe, you brought this segue up, and this is a very good question for the whole panel. Joe, you said if Christianity is a made-up religion, well, which religions are not made up?
But the difference is the other ones are made up, but they've been made up for 3,000 years, whereas this one was fresh 25 days out of the box.
What year it was made? If it's made up, it's fantasy.
But we don't know if some of the other ones are made up. As far as we know, some deity came down and said, "Do this."
Spoken about on the show that maybe the UFOs actually like handed down both,
they all point
kingship and lordship and
go way back, including Native Americans. They all point to space, and they go back. I mean, the Navajo, we're talking 75,000 years of history. They say the Star People came. It was the Star People. They point to space. You know what I mean? So whatever. You know? Well, all right. But what good does it do? You know what I mean? And then if Jesus was that righteous, he doesn't want people dying in his name. He doesn't want people doing anything in his name. You know, he just wants people to be better to each other. I think that was the message, and he died for love. I think that's the biggest message right
I
there.
disagree. I
He
think
was a
he
guy that
died
died for
because he
love.
challenged the money lenders in the market square. I mean, he proved that they were cheating the people out of their money, and then he upset their tables and their weights and scales and whatnot. And then he was arrested like immediately after that, or
Yeah, those same
they
people,
Oh my
though.
God, what's that sound like? What's that sound like? Today's government, huh? Turn around, come
I've
full
said it before
circle.
on other shows. There were 4
Full
presidents
circle.
that were killed, and all 4 of those presidents, they messed with the Federal Exchange Bank, kept them from making money anymore, so they could print their own money to fund. Lincoln did it to fund the Civil War. Kennedy was doing it to fund Vietnam, and when they stopped the Federal Reserve from printing its own money and going back to the federal bank, the federal government itself, the federal printing part, I forget what they call it, but making our own money for the government by the government, that's when those 4 men were killed. Same thing happened to Jesus. Parallels? You mess with the
Full
money,
circle.
they come after you. Guaranteed every time.
So I'm thinking, right, off the top of my head, that I think if I was alive back then, that I would actually sit down and talk with the man, just the man, not the prophet, whatever you see in the Bible, because I think he would be interesting to talk to.
And he'd
As
probably
a
sit and talk with you.
yeah, and then
He'd
we
probably sat there and talked with you. There seems to be, so when you look at some of these places, so he was in a couple of Muslim countries, then he seemed to be in Rome for a while and a couple other places along the line. So I had asked earlier, how long does it take to get from Jerusalem to Rome? Curious, by walking. I asked her how long it would take by walking.
That's it.
She said 24 days, which
Yeah.
means
I was gonna
he
say,
could
at
have been
least a couple
coming and
weeks.
going to through the empire all over the place. And then when you start asking about the cities, the big cities like Baghdad and other cities in the area, within walking distance, most of them were no more than 60 days away. So he could have touched in all those cities. And when you start going back and looking
Well,
for writings, there are
also
mentions of him
they
by
also had freight
governors
by
or
sale, and
emperors.
they had commercial sale or commercial, boating. So yeah, he could have easily taken a boat, which would have maybe taken a few days or a week rather than a month to get there. Um, for him to get to Asia would not have been a big thing, but it would have probably taken years. For him to go to where he would meet Buddha, it would take years to get there.
Well, it could have been a mutual thing, though. They might have just met along a trail, one coming one way, one going the
However
other
they
way.
met, it's a significant part of his life. 17, 8, like, what is it? He's missing from 12 to 35, so that's 8 to 20, and then another 15. That's
If the Jews and the
21
Romans
years. That's a long, long time.
if the Jews and the Romans want you dead, you can only either go to Muslims or to like India. You know what I mean? Like
The
if you
Romans
want
didn't
to
want you
escape
dead.
or go
The
see
Romans,
China, you go somewhere where they hate Romans and they don't
Well,
like
think
them.
it,
you
think of
go to
it
the
like
Romans,
this.
they have their bacchanalia and their nightly orgies and stuff. I mean, so there's good and bad of both worlds.
So
Where
look, the Romans did not want to. The Romans had no problem with Jesus. That was never an issue. Matter of fact, they felt so guilty about killing him. Rome is now where? In Italy. I mean, the Vatican is now where? In Rome. Um, so obviously, the Christians didn't have a problem with it either. So when you listen to the story, I mean, Rome is the one is not at fault for this. The Jews are squarely on his.
Well,
his
they cashed
his
in on it,
brother
didn't
is.
they? I mean,
You
over
know
the
that
years,
that it was squarely on the Jews. They're the ones that made sure this happened. They're the ones that wanted him dead. He was becoming too popular, and they knew that if he'd have stayed alive, he would have had an offshoot religion. Would have probably not been Christianity. It would have probably been something else because it would have probably had more some of the Jewish stuff incorporated into it.
and I think it would have been matriarchally based versus patriarchally based.
And so it would have definitely been different, and it probably would have been better for us all the way around. and it could have been even something that united our planet, but that's not what happened. They killed him, and then some bodies, I'm sorry, got
Not
together.
somebody, Pontius Pilate and King Herod.
No, I'm talking about who wrote the Bible.
Oh.
So some bodies got together and decided, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then they just, and so many people were so uptight back then. I mean, first off, they restrict women to third class citizens, and that's as best as you can say it.
You mean
And it's
New
far
Testament,
worse than that.
because the Bible just is a whole bunch of different books, you know. So
Well, it is, but
the Old Testament is actually the Jewish Bible, but the New Testament, which made everything that was bad in the Old Testament, the New Testament made everything
the Old
good.
Testament is just
and
the
it was
history
good,
of the
and
Jews.
it was good. So I mean, when I read the Bible, it's very contradictory, and it was definitely, if you look at the sales of it, there's a selling point. You really feel like there's a selling point after that New Testament comes out, you know, and you know, look at the book of John. There was 30 Johns over 500 years who continued on and continued on. It's ridiculous, man. You know, there's just it's people
The
were
Bible is like that all the way from the beginning.
But it was fantasy writing.
I was like, I couldn't make it.
Fantasy writing.
Like,
So
what the hell does this mean? It sounds like there's two dudes in this book named God. One wants to blow the fucking place up, pardon my French, all the time, and the other guy wants to make it bright and happy, and everybody pisses gold. You know what I mean? It always seemed like I was like, "What the hell is it?" It seemed like to me,
because this is hell. That's why this is hell.
Like
this is hell. This is hell. This planet is hell.
I agree.
This planet might be purgatory.
For decades, we are standing on the planet hell.
No, I like Joe's answer better. We're in purgatory right now.
We have too much control to be in hell.
If you look at the Norse mythos, Michael can back me up on this. Norse mythos says that the sister of Thor, her name is Hel, Hel. She protects the realm of those who did not die of noble battle or died in battle. Like people who died of old age, sickness, and whatnot, murders and what have you. And her realm is Midgard. In Norse mythology, Midgard is planet Earth. Welcome to hell, boys.
All right, so I'm going to ask you this question. This is the bigger question. It has more to do with the core of what we're talking about tonight. Has humanity changed? Have people changed in the 2024 years that we're talking about here? Are we on a better direction? Are we headed more towards evolvement? You know, like, and I'm talking about for the whole masses, not just like a couple different groups or a couple different countries. I'm saying the whole globe of what we're headed into. I mean, what's changed aside from technology? You know,
we haven't. We certainly have not changed in a million years.
I think people are as evil as they could be. Look at this P. Diddy thing, man. That's like Elon Musk said in January, they're going to release the lists of this P. Diddy, all of his cohorts, and then on top of that, Epstein's list. You know, I mean, I love the threat. I love it, man. I hope he does. You know, but look at the people in charge, and they're the influencers. They don't even call them famous people or actors anymore. They just call them influencers, right? And then they're just solely there to influence other people's decisions or abilities to vote. And you know, and years ago I would talk to people around the world, and I still do, but I mean, even like before the internet, we'd be talking back and forth, and then, you know, about America, and I'm like, the essence of freedom is choice, being able to make your own choice, you know? And then you learn over the years the choices are limited and narrow, you know, almost pre-planned and contrived, because, you know, it doesn't really matter. It's more about the class of who you're with. You know what I mean? Because there's definitely certain groups out there that have it way better than others and have it easier through life. You look at Hunter Biden. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You know, a total zero loser. But yet, if your father's the president, you can get away with all kinds.
You can get basically away with murder. Or near,
so, but I'm talking about the people. The people actually have to work hard and maintain and suffer. It's suffering, man, because life is pain, dude. And then even though working hard and maintaining, we're feeling that pain. We still have to keep going, you know. So, but what's changed? What's changed? Where, you know, where there's still the hierarchy of people. Mouse shit rolls downhill, right? There's still that hierarchy from the top to the bottom, you know, and then the ones who use the ones all the way around. What's changed? Because the same people that say they love Jesus, when I was young and I was being abused and all these terrible things were happening, I told the school, I told the cops, my neighbors knew all these fucking holy rollers, man. All of them, Catholic, Christian, all that. They all knew. Not one of them did anything about it. Not one of them. So what's changed? And those are the same fuckers that would have taken Jesus and staked him up to a fucking post and killed his ass because they look the other way. They don't give a shit about anybody else. They're just a bunch of self-righteous scumbags. What has changed? What?
Yeah, exactly nothing. As I said, nothing has changed. None of us have changed over the last million years. We're the same assholes we were a million years ago. And I agree
We
with
just got
everything.
nukes now. See,
We're
we're
not
swinging
thinking-
the trees throwing shit at each other was one thing.
Same people
Now
that
we're
are in
swinging the
power
trees
now
throwing
have been in
nukes at
power
each
for
other.
Got a
thousands
lot
of
of
years.
guns.
Think about that. No,
But anyway,
he's right. You
getting-
think about it, like
getting-
the Bilderbergers and those higher ups, they've been in charge of like the government and the planets for how many thousands of years now.
Oh, they ain't been charged of shit. Anyway, moving on.
Boy, all right. Before moving
So
on,
I can tell you right now why there's no groups controlling this planet. This is very simple and easy to understand. They all fucking hate each other, and the Bilderbergs and the Rothschilds will kill each other. They're not going to let either one have
I'm going to
control.
quote George Carlin.
All the rest of the groups we're talking about out there are not going to let each of them hit the shark heads.
I'm going to quote George Carlin, man. George Carlin.
They're not going to play with anybody
people-
else. That's the
people
problem. You
that
can't
have
have world
bought-
dominance when nobody will play.
The people have bought this country and sold it a long time ago,
Who?
and then everybody means nothing.
We bought it back.
And
See,
it
that's
was the
the
robber
problem. We
barons
bought
in
the country
control.
back.
The robber barons are still in control. There's no difference, none. That's why people are cheering this murderer.
If what
who
you
shot
said
that
was
CEO,
true,
they're cheering. The
if
guy.
you said what was you said was true, we wouldn't be getting ready to break up the five biggest companies in our country. We're fixing to break Google. We're going to do Google like we
I
did.
believe it when
Yeah,
I
we're going
see
to turn them in. We're going
I'll
to turn them
believe
into
it.
the middle bells.
Oh,
No,
good. They did that to AT&T, and what happened? All the
it's not just them. They've done
all
it
the
to
baby bells. They got more powerful, man. They just got more.
No, they got
powerful.
less powerful because different people own different parts of the company now. They can't get everything
I'm
done. That's
talking
why
about
AT&T can't
basic
keep up with T-Mobile.
humanity, how people treat each other. I see people treating each other crappier than ever. Than ever.
Depends
you know
where
what
you
I mean?
are. Because you live
all
in New York,
the
man.
decency,
That's why.
Joe. The decency. Where's
because
the
you live in New
decency
York,
of
man.
the
It's in
human
the South,
decency,
apparently.
man? The things that make us shine. The kindness, the
Look,
love, the
do you
decency.
know? We still stop and help people inside the road. We still open doors
Yeah,
for
but
people.
down south is way different than the north.
The four of us.
Me and Sean on Sean's
What
show
about the 8
Sunday
billion
or Sunday
fuckers
ago.
on the planet running around?
No, it's just how it is down here, man. We don't.
What about the
Look,
people who come over?
I
the
say this
border
all the
illegally?
time. Chivalry is not dead in the South.
The people
It's
coming
not-
over the
people
border
get
illegally,
confused with
do they
this.
have the same mission?
In the Mideast,
Do
and
they
the
want
East,
to live
it's
in
a
a
lot
great
different.
country? Do they want to be something part of something important? Or are they
You just
here?
live in hell. That's all I can
Yeah,
tell you, man. If
New
you
York
live
is-
way up the top of the country, you're living in a shithole. That's all I can tell you. Polluted, cranky, bitchy. I would be
the
bitchy if
city's
I
not
lived
a
up
friendly
there.
place.
Why do you think Sean never smiles?
Yeah.
Pennsylvania's got an underground fire.
Pennsylvania
that's been
actually is a
going
cool state.
Yeah, they do. No, I tell you what.
Over in
We're getting by
Centralia,
Tell you what.
man. Go to Centralia.
Pittsburgh, where I live in Pittsburgh, and a lot of people just give the utmost compliments to the Pittsburgh people, and this is true. We are
There'll be
not
a lot of
rude.
nice people there.
Yes, we are not rude. People ask us for help, we give them help.
It is
From
the
the lowest
epicenter.
person.
Pittsburgh's
from
the
the
epicenter of a zombie apocalypse, man. George
Look,
Romero.
even crazy Fetterman will go out and help somebody. We know he's
Yeah.
fucking crazy, and he'll still go out and help
Fetterman
somebody.
will. Do you know that man took a slum area here in Pittsburgh, a slum, and he changed it.
I think
Well,
next
what-
election he's going to be a
It was
Republican.
a huge heroin problem as well.
Dude, I'm telling you, he changed that area. He changed that, and he helped people, and he didn't care. I mean, he gave his freaking hoodie off the back of his back to give to somebody. That's how he do it.
Jesus,
Pittsburgh has good people.
He's all right.
When was
He
Jesus
has
in
the-
Pittsburgh? I heard he was in upstate.
Hey, he could
listened
be
to the Mormons.
Pittsburgh.
There are some rumors that Jesus also made it to the Americas, but I don't know.
Well,
That's
I
where
know
that's
about
where
that.
the
I know.
Mormon thing
So
comes from.
I know the
Joseph
places I
Smith
know he
and
went for sure
Ontario
was pretty
County,
much
New York.
No, pretty much all of the places I know for sure he went was pretty much everywhere in the Middle East. It looks like he hit Egypt. He pretty much all of the major countries he hit. He was just there because
He
they were
was a
all within a
frequent
couple of
flyer,
months
man.
walking.
He had
Well, it
an
just seemed
Egyptian
like
airplane.
it looked like he was just making the round because somebody asked one day, there's actually a writing right after he died, about 60 years after they died, and Christianity was already starting to take off, and the guy was amazed at how fast it was growing and how many places it had already reached. Well, Jesus had already planted the seed that something was coming. He had been out and about telling the Romans, telling the Egyptians, telling everybody. I mean, look right now, the poor Christians in Syria are being slaughtered right now because they want them out of there now that Assad's gone.
I got to ask you guys a question. You're all paranormal dudes. We all have a background in asking questions of mystery and all
I don't
kinds
believe
of
none
stuff.
of that shit.
I'm going to ask you this. If Muhammad had someone or the archangels come take him around in a spaceship, look at future civilizations out in space, and this happened more than once, man. If Muhammad's getting spaceship rides, what about Jesus?
Well, I got fired because I said Jesus was an astronaut one time.
Well,
Maybe he got around.
When Jesus ascends, he says they say that he ascends on. I don't know if they worded exactly like tongues of flame or on fire, but he leaves in flames.
He didn't live like the other ones.
And ascended
You know, Moses and all the rest of them. Moses and all the rest of them lived hundreds of years. You know, Noah over 900 years old. I mean, this was like stated right then and there, like right.
His grandfather Enoch was like 10,000 years old or 9,000 years old, something like that.
So to die at 30 is pretty young, man.
When you look at that painting of him where his tomb was, okay, you saw all kinds of UFOs flying above that damn thing. I guarantee it, they beamed them up, to be honest with you. I don't think he rose. I believe that. I believe
a lot of people say that he had two children and that was what they called grails, that there was two holy grails, and then they all took off to France.
It depends on how you break up the word. The word is actually Sangreal, Sangreal. And if you break it up the right way, it's Sangre Real or royal blood. If you do it the other way, it's Sang Real. It's the Holy Grail. It's a cup. So the correct way is it's Sangre is the root word of blood, and Real is the root word of royalty. So whatever the Sangre Real is, it's a living person or persons that have whoever his wife's blood.
The Holy Grail is the bloodline of Jesus Christ.
It's not a cup. It is not a cup.
So the real deal is we don't know anything about it because so many it was written by so many people that had an angle though. They had
manifest on earth.
Man. They didn't do that.
Michael's right. The modern Bible, like I said, is 62 chapters whittled down from like 100 and what did I say? 22 was the original, or 128. But since the first century, there's been several councils of Nicaea that have not only edited and taken stuff out of the Bible, they've added things that are false. So, so we're kind of hard to, I mean, the book's written, 2,020 years ago? It's hard to decide which is false. But that's the problem. We don't, again, I keep saying, we don't have the full story nor the real story. What they're telling us is BS anyway.
Now this one right here, the Codex of what is that? Vaticanus, the Latin Bible. So this is what Bible. 305 to when? 305. What is this?
300 to 305 AD.
Yeah. So
publishing date.
So this is one of the oldest Bibles known.
Publication unknown. Writer unknown.
Yeah, they think it might have came from Egypt or Alexandria or somewhere along the line. Probably came from Alexandria.
Probably came from the library of Alexandria.
The first thing that the book of Genesis
wrote the Latin Bible.
The first thing that the book of Genesis
and this ain't the only version, but when you read about this is so much different than what we were taught today. It's just
the first thing the book of Genesis says is that God said, "Put no one before him." Nothing. No one.
But no other gods before me. Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing. Not Disney World. Not the ABC News. Nothing. Your connection with God is so just the two of you basically. But if you think that your Creator created people to fear Him, that's ridiculous. What an ego. That would never happen. You know what I mean? More like you want to see your children do well. You don't want to see them be afraid of you. You want their respect. You know what I mean? So I think people have lost so much of a connection with the universe, because God is way bigger and more infinite than people can even understand. And I know that every second it goes by, we're in a constant state of creation. That creation comes from somewhere. It's not just by accident. It wasn't just something that happened because of a chemical reaction. These things are intended, and people's lives are intended, and people's emotions are intended. So people need to find their connection with the universe, man. And it's not going to be through organized religion. It won't ever be. It's a polluted thing. The Bible talks about false prophets coming forward and using the information therein to make a profit. I think that we've seen that in every angle. You know what I mean? And they all do it. It's not just Catholicism or just plain old Christianity or whatever. They all do it, and they all battle with each other, and they all think that they're the only one.
I know.
And almost every church, almost every religion, the three big ones, Muslim, Judaism, and Christianity, they have huge land holdings on every continent as well.
But like Muslims,
they have huge land holdings in multiple countries on multiple continents.
Muslims, like Christians,
people don't see that as any kind of like a threat or a fifth column.
Muslims, like Christians, have several different groups. I mean, like in the beginning, the two groups split apart. You had the group that believed the
Christians
Quran
had two or three different armies. They had
the other group that believed that it was talking in metaphors. And then you had more groups. That's why you got the Hittites.
All right, we way the hell off topic.
Well, we're still kind of in the ballpark, at least. We're in the ballpark.
Yeah, y'all like on the other side of the ballpark in the parking lots where the hell y'all are.
Sometimes you got to go in the parking lot to find something.
Well,
man.
so
Sometimes the baseball gets
Bibles
knocked
bringing
out.
Up, Joe, are these Dead Sea Scroll versions or what?
No, okay. So the first one is like the complete version of the Old Testament. This one is what the New Testament's. This is the complete New Testament. This is what all the New Testaments are based on today. This Codex, how you say that? It's
Sinaiticus.
Yeah. So it's interesting that it's there. I mean, now there's but what gets me, so as you go along, let me switch pages. As you go along, you move along here.
Read us a bedtime.
Well, first
story,
first let's go back for a minute. They actually know where this one came from, St. Catherine's Monastery.
So, in the Sinai Peninsula.
Yeah.
So
it's the Sinai Bible. Yeah. So unknown scribes, poor scribes are dead and gone. We don't know who you were. We're sorry that you hate like this. Now here you go here.
Gifted to King Charles I of England in 1627.
Yeah,
wow.
So this is 400 to 440 AD. It's Greek. So if you're not reading the Bible in Greek or Latin, you're just not reading the Bible. You're reading. I don't know.
I would think by 400 it was basically Latin was getting to be a dead language at that point. Greek, I think, was the more universal language.
I agree. I think Greek was the more universal language, and as we've seen, there's been several of them. The last three are in Greek. Here's another one in Greek.
Yeah.
So
Scriptus.
Yeah. So as you go through here, when you start reading about them, so you see what it says here: the full manuscript of the Bible. So when they use words like the full manuscript of the Bible, what does that suggest to you? That what we're reading
unedited,
is not the full Bible,
not redacted, no added.
So
no add
it pretty much tells you that you're not actually reading the full Bible. It is held in production for more than 1,000 years in a number of Jewish communities in Egypt, Jerusalem, and Syria. Well, we're glad to hear about that. So it was being passed around, huh?
Well, I haven't got very far into it, but I did download one of the free Kindle versions of the Book of Enoch, which is the great grandfather of Moses, or if you think of him in the Sumerian Zarathustra, or I can't say the name right, but anyway, the guy who was flooded out, his grandfather apparently it sounds. I think I haven't gotten very far, but I think the whole thing sounds it's going to start to sound like Zeus's attack on the Titans to gain control of the heavens from his parents. I think that's the gist of what the ancient people saw was this war between the gods for power. But as we know, it's like the Zeus versus the Titans. The classic Grecian gods versus the Titans. That kind of thing is what supposedly like the epic of Enoch is about. So I can't wait to get any further into it, but just think about that.
That's a little too deep for me there, Jay.
It's deep. I mean, think about it. We've talked about the Sumerian Bible, which has the creation myth, and they don't mention Jesus in that myth at all. They don't even have like.
Well, they don't mention Jesus in the Old Testament by name ever.
Yeah. But they do talk about prophets. That there'll be 3 of them. However,
hey, you know what, Jay? You can be a prophet. You can go out right now and say this, and this, and this, and everyone's going to love you and follow you, and then you just build on of what you've been saying.
But in the Dead Sea Scrolls, no one wrote about Jesus. Nobody wrote about him, man. And you know what?
Seriously,
think about the concept. Here's a guy doing all this magic, amazing miracles, all this stuff. Nobody wrote about him.
Yeah, but if he's mentioned in the Dead Sea Scrolls, he's mentioned as an unnamed future prophet,
which they thought was John the Baptist. They thought he was going to be the Messiah.
They're pretty sure he was one of the 3 prophets. Yes.
I see we've converted to Hebrew now in the Bibles, and the last 2 were Hebrew. I see that's going to be the language for a little while. And they know everybody who writes these, where they came from. Look at these Bibles. And they see we've jumped. 1535. So this is a modern Bible. You can go read. This is probably prettier to look at than the ones we get today.
Modern English, yeah, but is it the same amount of chapters as those ones? Like
I've got one called the Truck Driver's Bible.
Look, it says modern English.
Given the truck drivers years ago.
No, I'm talking about the printing, Joe.
1535.
That's small printing.
Yeah, well, no, I'd have to have glasses. Well, I'd have to blow it up so I could see it actually. So this is the one, man. This is one so he could get divorced. This is King Henry VIII. So we know this Bible's not correct. Shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, they just they jump quite a bit after that. See here, you get it to 1539 and stuff. These are pretty much probably close to what we know today as the modern Bible. Ginny, so
Joe, is the Montalto house out of toilet paper?
I don't know. I see that Scott's gonna have to get
They're
gonna have to send us. You're gonna have to send us a residual payment for that, man. They can't just play that shit for free.
We'll buy it here in the studio because they do that.
So I know in the research I've done recently, I know he was in at least 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 different Roman towns, moving around all over Rome. He even visited Rome itself. He was there for a little while. He didn't seem to get in any real trouble. There are writings about him. That's why we know. There's writings between the governors. Actually, it's between, I guess, would be the local constable, the governor, and the emperor. Because they asked the governor what to do, and the governor, for some reason... See, that's what's so weird about this. So normally, the constable guy would have just said, okay, who are you? What are you doing in my town? You want to go to jail? Get the hell out of here. Or he'd locked him up or something. But for some reason, he felt the need to go to the governor of the area. And he felt the need to go to the emperor. Why? So he wasn't that. I mean, he was probably known as a prophet by then. I would think he was in his mid-20s, maybe late 20s. So he's probably known as a prophet. But was he performing miracles before what's listed in the Bible?
He had Judas with him, who was a famous gladiator. So
I'm just saying, he had to be doing something to be famous.
Judas would have been able to move around Rome really easily. He himself had connections. So you know how it is, connection.
But that's the thing, though. I mean, knowing. I mean, I would have just thought at the time, at 25, that Jesus would have just been any other Jew roaming around, the Middle East. Which, even back then, they weren't the most accepted group in the Middle East.
Well, how did Jesus spend his time then? I mean, what was his motivation? We all have.
Well, it seems like he was in. It seems like he was in other countries other than where he came from, and he had just been out, spreading what he thought was the word. Or what I don't even want to call it that. It sounded more like what Sean was saying. He was just going around meeting people and talking with them. Hey, how you doing? This is what I believe. It's kind of like a New Age thing. This is how I believe. I mean, that's why in St. Thomas it said, "Split a rock." Split a rock. There I am. Turn a log. I'm sorry. Split a wood. There I am. Turn a rock. There I am. Didn't believe in organized religion. Believes you could pray to him anywhere you were. Not even pray, just talk. They didn't even consider it prayer. They just consider you could be walking like you could be out on investigation chasing ghosts and be talking to him while you were out doing it. That was the concept that never made it to us because there's no money in that. You can't get rich off of people walking around talking to God in their backyard. They ain't doing no donations. They ain't no big multi-billion
you can
dollar.
declare your property tax free if you have that.
Yeah, well, you'd say, hey, that's a good idea, actually.
None of us are on the Sermon on the Mount. None of us were there. We don't know that Jesus and his disciples weren't going around asking for handouts.
I don't think you would have to.
Well,
if you go by the writings, it sounds like he was welcome where he went. It wasn't until, like you said, when he got into it with the money lenders.
When they go to places they're not known, they're going to need money to buy lodging and food.
But I don't think there was. I think by the time it seems like, and I can't prove this, of course, but it seems like, you know what it seems like to me? You remember the old days? All of us probably do because we're old enough. Some of you listeners might not know this, but remember the old days when the fair was coming or the circus was coming to town? Like 2 weeks, there'd be some performers come through and say, do some stuff, let you know they were coming, go through the streets, let you know they were coming. I think that's what was going on with him. I think people were being prepped for him before he came. So there was
You're exactly right. That's what they said, that people will go ahead and say there's a great teacher coming.
And they would have places for him to stay, food for him, and money. I don't think he had to worry about it. I don't think that was the thing he had to ask for. And I think that's one of the reasons it was so easy for him to challenge the money changes, because he didn't need it. He had control of what he needed.
Well, but
and if it would have been up to him, there would have been no more money. There would have been.
If his mission was to get killed so he can atone for the sins of mankind. Well, how else?
Money's a bad sin.
You get yourself killed. I mean, you have to challenge. You have to either go to war and get killed in battle, or attack.
But my question is, do you not think that he knew, with him spreading this word to other people, that I'm sure in the back of his mind he was saying, I could die for this. I could get killed for this.
I agree. I agree and disagree on that for two reasons. One, I think as long as he was outside of Judea, Jerusalem, he was safe. I don't think none of those people wanted to harm him. He had a good reputation. People were looking for him to come help him, to cure him. I mean, it was emperor, and I forgot the woman that actually sent their people to go find him.
They didn't know what he
help
looked
him
like.
to come cure him. And so the thing of it is outside of the Jewish population itself, he had a good reputation. Even the Muslims, come on, we just talked about this. The Muslims wrote positive about him. They didn't say he was evil or he was here to end the world or he's bad. They didn't. Nobody actually said anything bad about him until you get back to Jerusalem and he gets back from wherever he's been to.
But the Romans
and they hate him.
Romans paid Judas 30 pieces of silver. When Jesus walked into the room, go kiss him. Kiss him, go up to him, mark him. We want to know who he is. They didn't know what he looked like.
Let me tell you my theory on that one.
But who knows? But who knows if Judas would do that? Maybe he kissed somebody else. He could have kissed anybody.
All right, let Sean go, and then we're going to take a break, and then we'll pick this up.
Let me tell you my theory on the Judas bit, right? So here's my theory. Okay, so the Romans told Judas to give him a kiss. He'd get 30 silver. So it's some dumbass out there.
It's actually 30 pieces of 8.
It don't matter. It was something. But all I know is that the reason why they framed Judas was because if you take Judas and you take the Judeans who actually crucified Christ, that's why Judas got the raw deal on that.
I think Judas was the better friend of all of them. I think
he was. They were
maybe even the only real legitimate one that didn't have any self-interest except what he believed in. You know what I mean?
I don't believe that he would give himself up. No. It's all written from a bullshit prophet that was out there, or whoever it was. They blamed Judas instead of blaming the Judeans. They blamed Judas. Yeah. I guarantee it.
And they vilified him. They vilified him, man.
And also, when we come back, I have sort of a dark story that nobody's really talked about that supposedly happened between Jesus and someone else. So we should talk about that when we come back too.
All right, well, we will do that in just a second because, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break. If you need, we're going to be gone for about 10 or 12 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, or maybe 8 or 10 minutes. But if you need to go run to the bathroom, get something, go pee, get your Bible out, get your stories out. Look, there's lots of stuff out there you can look up for, where Jesus was, where people think he was. We should have invited Michelle on. She's got a whole other theory about where he was and what he was doing. Something about smoking marijuana. No, I'm just kidding. They didn't smoke. They didn't smoke marijuana in the Middle East anyway. They smoked hash. They didn't smoke marijuana in the Middle East. They smoked hash.
Well, it's Christmas.
That's they would boil mushrooms.
Or some good mushrooms. And
it's Christmas.
Anyway, on that
this
note,
ladies,
we're going to. No, Connie, no, babe, we're going to break. But we'll be right back. Until then, y'all just hang out and listen to the music. This will come up in a few minutes. A couple of little promos here, and away we head. Let's play this Out of Rome thing. Shh.
Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
When they are consuming your minds and your thoughts and your dreams, from the angels to the demons and to the mysteries unseen, there is no need to worry. There is no need for dread. It's just time to discuss the thing at the foot of the bed.
Welcome to Negotiating Happiness, the show that helps you find happiness, success, and balance in your work and life. I'm Adriana Fiestro, your host for this journey into entrepreneurship and personal growth. We're broadcasting live on 107.7 and 105.3 FM in New Orleans as part of the United Public Radio Network. We explore the latest strategies, insights, and stories from successful entrepreneurs and experts. From managing stress to building a thriving business, we've got you covered.
The Church of Mavis Radio Show, Friday nights at 8 p.m., 7 Central, starring Jeffrey Pritchett with his co-hosts Wham and Jay McNicholas, right here on the United Paranormal Radio Network.
What's out there? What creates the shadows in the corners or the creatures of the dark? Who are those on the other side? What do they have to say? This is the Gateway Podcast. This is not your normal style of paranormal talk radio. Brought to you live from United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM New Orleans.
Welcome.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
I am the nation. I was born on July 4th, 1776, and the Declaration of Independence is my birth certificate. The bloodlines of the world run in my veins because I offered freedom to the oppressed. I am many things and many people. I am the nation. I'm 200 million living souls and the ghost of millions who have lived and died. Nathan Hale, Paul Revere. I stood at Lexington and fired the shot heard round the world. I'm Washington, Jefferson, Patrick Henry. I'm John Paul Jones, the Green Mountain Boys, Davy Crockett. I'm Lee Grant, Abe Lincoln. I remember the Alamo, the Maine.
Damn right, we remember the Alamo. Bitches.
When freedom called, I answered and stayed until it was over there. I left my heroic dead in Flanders fields and on the rock of Corregidor, on the bleak slopes of Korea, and in the steaming jungles of Vietnam. I am the Brooklyn Bridge, the wheatlands of Kansas, and the granite hills of Vermont. I am the coal fields of the Virginias and Pennsylvania, the fertile lands of the West, the Golden Gate and Grand Canyon. I am Independence Hall, the Monitor. I am the Merrimack. I'm big. I sprawl from the Atlantic to the Pacific. My arms reach out to embrace Hawaii and Alaska. 3 million square miles. I'm more than 3 million farms. I'm forest, field, mountain, and desert. I'm quiet villages, and I'm cities that never sleep. You can look at me and see Ben Franklin walking down the streets of Philadelphia with his bread loaf under his arm. You can see Betsy Ross with her needle. You can see the lights of Christmas and hear the strains of Auld Lang Syne as the calendar turns again.
They feed you, they're on a witch hunt. Conspiracy people fake spreading their disease. Powers tell you how to think, how to feel, what to say. Your mind the crime scene. Powers tell you what to see, what to do, who to be. Feed the machine, feed your lies, twist it your own way. The propaganda machine, power feeds it, media owns it, social stage is it. The propaganda machine, you feed the propaganda machine. We bleed, they bleed. Wake up, ignorant eyes, fact checks denied, half truths in the news, very balanced lies. Who do we believe? Who did what? Whose point of view? Who do you trust? Who's behind it all? Society dies. Feed the machine, feed your lies, twist it your own way. The propaganda machine, power feeds it, media owns it, social stage is it. The propaganda machine, you feed the propaganda machine. We bleed, we bleed. Wake up, wake up. Feed the
Wow, that was crazy. Welcome back, everyone, to News on the Flipside. I hope y'all enjoyed all of that wonderful stuff that we were playing all over the place. It was like a whirlwind, a festival of crazy crap, if you ask me. I like that song, The Nation, and that's the intro song I was just playing right there, yes. You can, no, because it's down here. We don't have it in a video. We need to make a video with all of our lovely faces on it and stuff like that. Everybody doing this or some shit or doing this shit or or something like that. But no, no, man, that's. Don't you make fun of my fucking reindeer? No, man. We be talking about the big boss tonight. You better watch it. I will sick him on you. He likes reindeers. Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, no, I knew somebody was going to bring that up tonight. Yeah, I do remember that from when I was a kid. There was a thing that ran around that Santa Claus was doing. And I was like, really? Don't he have enough to do without bringing toys to all the degenerate little shit kids on the planet?
Well,
That's Krampus, buddy.
Krampus is the anti Santa
The
Claus. But
anti-Santa
no, when I
Claus.
was a kid, I was always stunned because I have dyslexia, and I was always stunned why people didn't notice that it's just one letter. I mean, all you have to do is take one letter and move it within the name Santa, and you get Satan.
Yeah, you didn't see that. You got that. They got that thing on TikTok when the kid sends the letter goes to the wrong place. There's a movie about the
There's
kid
a new movie
sends.
coming out where the kid sends a letter to Satan, not Santa.
Yeah. And I've got my, as y'all notice tonight, I have my Christmas lightsaber out ready to probe someone. Look at that laser.
Oh, here we go. The battle of the nerds. The battle of the nerds.
No, man, that's some power going through there. It's surging.
Send it. This thing can absorb it, and I'll shoot it right back at you.
It's the battle of the geeks, is what I call
This
it.
is the most. I don't care what anyone says. This will beat a lightsaber any day of the week.
I will pull out the Excalibur, whoop its ass.
This will destroy Excalibur too.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
He's been smoking. I gotta say, the weed in Pittsburgh is better than weed in Mississippi.
Everyone thinks that Excalibur is his best weapon ever. Well, if it's the best weapon ever, how come it's lost? A, and B, the only power it's ever said to have was it gave King Arthur the ability, while he wielded that sword, he could not be cut.
Don't make me sick my girlfriend on. Phoenix has been a little bored lately.
So no circumcision for him. Is that what you're saying, man?
Yeah.
Not while he was holding that sword. He was getting cut off.
Too bad.
Arthur, you gotta let go of the sword, otherwise I can't do what I gotta do. I don't know, Rabbi. I'm not letting go of the sword. Arthur,
around
it's
the big
clean.
blue planet.
Cleansiness.
Welcome back. I don't know who all the people are talking back there. I'm just ignoring them. Just welcome.
Well, just a little snip.
Wait. No, that's Michael. I always fuck with
what have
Michael.
you been
It's
drinking?
Michael, the handsome one is Sean. The semi handsome one is
just a
Jay.
little
The sexy
snip.
bastard is me. Yeah, that's how it goes.
Would you leave
We're gonna go ho 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 tonight. And
Ho ho ho.
no, what are you talking about? Oh yeah, we are missing somebody.
Where's Leah? Yeah, that's right.
Leah's being probed by a drone. That's the last thing I heard from her. She sent me a picture of a 3RB and she was sailing into the sky, which I'm not exactly sure where she is at the moment, but
There's New Jersey.
they usually bring her back. I don't know why, but they usually bring her back. So we're not gonna worry about it. She starts yapping, they'll just bring her
We
back.
weren't talking about Jesus though. That was a interesting
Yes,
subject.
but anyway, we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back a little bit of that, and then we're gonna move on because we got some other stuff we got to talk about. But so because a couple people have asked me this question out of chat. So look, so if I had to paint a picture now, I'd have to get a map of the Middle East in front of me to do this correctly. But it looks like, and there's no way to prove any of this, so this is sheer hypothesis. That ain't even a hypothesis actually, but it looks like he left Jerusalem and went touring. Which, come on, if 12 is a little young to be starting, so there was somebody with him.
Well, he was probably with Jesus with Joseph and Mary, his parents.
No, I don't. I think his parents stayed, but I bet you he had brothers from his dad's first marriage.
Brothers, yeah.
Yeah, so they might have been traveling with him, and I imagine as they realized that this kid, because at the time he was a kid, had a talent, people were probably drawn to him.
Like
whether
Joe Montaldo.
Yeah, well, but regardless, they were probably drawn to his ass, and as people got to know him and they got ahead, the news was moving faster than he was basically, and as his family got ahead of him in towns, it just started to grow. So by the time he got back to Israel, because he'd probably been gone, we don't know all the places he went, but I guarantee you he made a big whopping circle. So if you come up and around, Indonesia's right on the bottom, so he could have met anybody.
All right, just let me ask you this, Joe. Let me ask you this. If he knew he would be in a lot of trouble, why did he go back to Jerusalem or Israel?
It depends what you want to believe
To
here.
turn himself in.
So,
That was the whole thing.
if you believe he had future knowledge, then you'd have to question why he went back, and you'd have to say, okay, it was for us. You'd have to question that. If he had future knowledge, and that's a big assumption because we don't know if he actually had future knowledge of events. We do know that he when he did come back eventually, somewhere from the time he got back, he challenged a lot of people when he got back to Israel, and he made a lot of enemies. And he was already he had gained popularity outside the country, which had come back to Israel and made him even more popular.
I think Judas kissed
So
some
he
other
was
dude. Maybe some guy named Moish.
now. No, but regardless, he
The
walked
kiss.
around. He walked around challenging everybody, and eventually, back in those days, you challenge. I mean, look at Martin Luther King. This is modern era. He was challenging everybody. What happened to him? You're going to get
But
killed.
if you're the son of God, you have all this power. Are you going to let people take you and put you on a cross and stick you?
Oh,
up
he might not have been able. He might not have been able to stop that. Dad might have said.
But does he even ever say that? First of all, and I think the main elephant in the room that nobody's even noticed is why would a 12-year-old leave for 21 years before he comes back to his home where he grew up?
Well, they said he was 18.
We don't know if he can come back and forth.
Does anyone know that story?
18. He came back when he was like 32, 33.
No, but I don't think that's what happened.
No,
that's why I asked. That's why I asked what the distance traveling to each city was. 24 days to go to Rome from Jerusalem's nothing. And you know how many towns are in between
they
those
get on
places?
those camels, man. They can go.
But I'm saying that's walking. If he was on on horses or camelback, it would have been half the time.
Be faster.
Yeah. So, but regardless, you can tell that he roamed around the Middle East
But he was gone for 21 years, and he left when he was 12. Why would
I don't think he was though, Jay. I think he came and went. I think he would come home for a while and then he would leave.
No.
Sometimes he would stop on his way home back when he was going across to another country.
Age of 12 until the age of like 30 something in the Bible. He's not mentioned for 20 some years.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he wasn't at home.
There's a rumor and a story that I think came out of one of the Dead Sea Scrolls that when Jesus was 12, he and a friend were playing, and he pushed his friend off of the roof of the house they were playing on and killed him. So when he got down there to see his friend was dead, and everyone, the kid's parents were weeping, and everyone saw what happened, Jesus brought the kid back to life. That is the rumor. If that actually is a real story that was pulled out of the Bible and is part of some of the Dead Sea Scrolls that have been found, that's a pretty compelling story. It's a completely different picture of the Jesus.
Again, Jay, I love you to death, but it's just a story.
Well, so are all the other stories in the Bible.
Right. That's why that's why the Bible is the worst book out there. It needs to be changed or out of circulation. Because it's all one big lie.
It's been changed enough. What needs to happen is the changes need to be undone. We need to see the original, and I guarantee you, there's a pristine first century version in the Vatican secret vault. It's probably written in Aramaic, but there's a first edition Bible that they have that is intact and correct, not edited, not changed in any way, shape, or form. And I'll bet you that story, which is probably around 3,000 or 4,000 pages long altogether, I'll bet you that story is way different than the Bible we all have today.
Get rid of the Bible. That's all I could say, because it's a big lie. Fat lie.
I want to get rid of it. Read it. There are some good moralities in it. There are some good morality plays, but it's not something to function your life on.
No. Hey, I'm a Catholic, so I'm going to give you all kinds of freaking money, and so I'm going to buy my way into heaven. That's what that's all about.
Indulgence, man.
They
just recently brought back indulgence where you can pay your way out.
Number one business, if you will, call it a business that owns real financial holdings and real estate holdings, is the Catholic Church, Vatican City. They own the world's largest amount of commercial and other properties than any other company, business, or entity.
Immobile areas, the church.
They are the global monopolists of property. real
And do
property.
you think maybe, like we were talking earlier when Joe was saying that, you know, a lot of guys got together and said, let's farm Christianity so we can get all this money and buy our way into heaven.
Without question. Without question.
Real quick off the subject, real fast. You know, what is this I hear that on Christmas Eve that the Pope is going to open up?
Oh, you know, I have heard that too. I have not seen anything anywhere that authenticates it, but I have heard it 2 or 3 times now.
Then he's going to do what now? Open
He's
the
going to
vault?
open up Satan's
Yeah.
tomb.
Yeah.
Really?
Not Lucifer's tomb. I'm sorry, not Satan's. Lucifer's tomb.
Yeah, Lucifer.
Not just that. There's supposed to be 4 or 5. He's supposed to be opening 4 or 5 tombs up. So,
yeah. Why would he want to do that? Why?
Because he's Lucifer's stepdaddy. That's why. He's you know.
It just shows you how primitive humans
Well,
are.
you know, if the rumors are
humans
true,
are so primitive, man. It's so freaking.
yeah, but if the rumors are
still
true,
a
he's
bunch
the
of
last
monkeys. Come on, man.
He's supposed to be according to
the biggest bullshit story ever told. And
well, no,
people are,
according
like,
to
staking
Revelations
their
and
whole
Notre
lives.
Dame, he's supposed to be the last pope, and there's only one more thing in the Vatican for a pope. He's supposed to be it. He's it. Once he's gone, we gone. It's how he is amigos. For you sinners now, for people like me, I'll be fine. But you sinners, I'm going to tell y'all.
Really? Well,
I'll be sitting on a cool cloud, cruising along on my cloud, smoking
What
some
about the
ganja.
Jews, though? They're like, what about us?
The Jews go automatically. That is not even fair, man. The 12 tribes
Oh,
go
man.
automatically.
Pope doesn't matter to them.
Well, you know what?
That's a good question, Michael. What about the Jews? So in the Bible, allegedly they are the chosen people of God.
Right.
And if God is one of the
12
alien species watching the planet, what if Tehran launches nukes that will destroy Israel? Will they stop it? If they're the chosen people of one of the alien species,
No, they won't stop it. They'll just fucking wipe us all out. No, guess what? You're dead. You know, no reason to keep your ants around. And we'll be in the middle of a show, and then all of a sudden we'll be on the other side. Going, what the fuck just happened, man?
It's a battle, man. It's a
I don't know.
jihad.
I think the aliens wouldn't intervene if they're gonna if they're the chosen
I'm gonna
people.
start drinking when I do this. I'm sorry, I lost my complete track. Sarah Reese Morrison. Okay, Sarah Reese Morrison, where are you from? Oh, you're his great granddaughter. Well, I won't be mean to you just in case you might.
The Pope got kids.
Well,
he's my grandfather.
The Merovingian line of kings is part of the Jesus line, in that somehow Mary Magdalene and Joseph of Arimathea and Sarah, his first daughter, made it to London, England.
But they did say they got there. What? No, sir. No, see, nobody really knows. See, there's all kinds of one kid,
they made it to New York and they started the Jewish Boy Deli franchise.
One kid.
You know, Jewish Boy Deli is the best.
And you know, and just so we know this, I'm just going to go ahead and say this because, you know, I like doing alien stuff. But, so remember how Mary got pregnant, right?
Well, that's something. Yeah, that's something I was going to bring up too.
She was lost in the desert.
Either
for days.
It's a brilliant story, or it really happened.
A lot of girls have that story. You know,
so either God came down
and get pregnant
got away with it,
or this place called Las Vegas.
All right. Let's have a kumbaya moment here, guys.
I was in Vegas. I don't remember shit.
One at a time.
It's a Vegas, baby.
It's too late.
But look, the fact is, Joe brings up a valid point. A girl who is unmarried and supposedly doesn't know man, which means in like the biblical sense, they've never had sex with a man, to be pregnant and not married, even if you don't know man, that's a stoning offense. They put you in a corner by a wall and they throw rocks at you until you die.
That's why Joseph married her, but they.
So, like I said,
the problem with this story is
she was inseminated by the Spirit of God, if you will. Like it just happened, artificial insemination, if you will, or she's whoring around with somebody or some
Well,
buddies.
she's
She got
uploaded.
pregnant, and she made up a good story that everybody bought and kept
Wait,
herself alive.
let's not forget that she was roaming around in the desert where, of course, the Roman soldiers were. So, it could have been aliens, it could have been Romans, it could have been God. I'm leaning to the God side,
It
but
could have
Could have
it
been a
could have been a
traveling
rape. It could have been
salesman.
a rape
You
as
know what I
well.
mean?
We don't know.
yeah. So
Vacuum
that's the whole
cleaner
problem with
salesman.
these kind of
Those guys
stories.
are pretty sly.
Well, no, Jackie. The reason I don't think it's none of the above, except for maybe alien, is there was no vengeance. Yes. Yeah. So I mean, if this was truly the Son of God, and the vessel was raped and used in that way, God might have just had a little bit of aggravated point. He did seem to be a little bit vengeful, a little bit spiteful. So
The whole thing is, man,
no,
no
That's my point
creator
about
is
the
going to
very
sit
beginning of
back
the
and
Bible
want
where
this
it
shit
I
says,
wouldn't
show
want
to
to piss him
happen.
off.
Here we go.
I'm just saying I wouldn't piss him off.
No creator is gonna watch this shit show happen and say, "Hey, this is my entertainment." You gotta be like a psycho. Aliens, yeah. God, no. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of
maybe
small.
we're the model for other planets how not to be. You see these
God
assholes
is
on Earth? Don't do that.
The Earth,
God is
the
on
Earth has
human
humans.
creation
It's like
100
herpes. Don't go near
trillion.
the Earth. You'll get humans. They're already trying to reach out to Mars. You know what I mean?
We probably are from Mars.
Humans. Look, keep humans where they are.
See, that's the other problem with the creation stories is what happens if we don't turn out to actually be from here? That our DNA comes from another planet.
Nothing happens. People are
Yeah,
like,
what
"Where are
if
we
that's-
from?"
what if that's-
Dude, that's got to be
People don't
incorporated
even
in
know
your
what the hell
religion
they're
somehow. That's not Adam and Eve. I mean, come on. Unless
Look,
they fell out the sky and landed under you know what.
Well,
If
then
the
it comes
Bible
down
is as
to
old
what.
as if the Bible is as old as we think it is, and we think it's older than we think it's older than recorded history. So we think it records at least 5 or 6, maybe 8,000 years of history. We're at 2024, so think about that. That's another 5 or 6
No way, dude. The
thousand
Bible,
years that we don't
the Old
remember.
Testament. When
We don't have history of.
you
So
start
think
talking
about
about
that. We had that
Noah, you're
history.
going way back. You're going
Yeah, that's
way,
what I'm talking about.
way.
That's what I'm saying.
You're
It's
talking about.
like-
I think a whole different species,
I'm
man.
talking.
It
We're going.
really has nothing to do
I'm
with
talking. The Bible
mankind's
probably has
history.
knowledge that goes back
except
to at least the Younger
origins.
Dryas, just after the floods receded and the ice age is starting to melt away. That's how far back I'm thinking.
About 75,000 years ago.
At least that, yes. That's what I'm saying. At least
Well,
that.
So listen to the Native
How much
Americans
history we're
because
missing.
they talk about 75,000 years ago. They've got the stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're
No mainstream scientist puts their backing behind any of those.
Look at India.
myths.
Look at India. They got nuclear bombs going off
Exactly.
in
That's
their
what I'm talking
stories.
about. But
They've
these
got
things happened
spaceships,
tens of
man.
thousands of
They've
years
got
ago.
all kinds of these
These
gods
things happened
blowing
tens
each
of
other
thousands-
up.
10,500, 14,000 years ago.
What the
These
fuck are they
things happened.
spraying where y'all live, man? They need to come spray some of that shit down here. That's all
Ooh,
I-
Jay, you just going
India,
at it.
India has some
Oh,
really
man, I need some of this
explicit
good
If you
stuff.
don't
I
believe- if
I
you
have
don't
one
believe-
question.
Ask any
I have one
astronomer.
question about
Go to
Noah.
any- well, listen.
Were
Go to any
there
college.
unicorns back then? Were
What,
there
huh?
unicorns back
Yeah.
then?
They said he
You
was
think-
naked a lot.
Do you think the unicorns were
naked
screwed
and
out of
drunk.
going on the Noah's boat?
If I was 900, I'd be
Somebody had
naked
to
and
come up
drunk.
with those. That myth that goes vampires, werewolves, those kind of myths go all across. So somebody saw something similar that created that kind of myth. So
It's
there's
not,
something
it's
to
not
those stories.
plausible.
But
with pairs
we're
of
not talking about
animals and all
unicorns.
that. It's not
If
plausible,
you
man.
look astronomically, something disastrous happened to this solar system. If you look all the way out at Uranus, one of Uranus' moons, or Uranus itself, the planet instead of spinning this way, it spins on its side this way.
Planetoid, not planet.
Okay, so something came by and knocked it over. The fifth planet is rubble. Something came by and knocked it to rubble. Either hit it, something must have hit it, because if it just was crumbled by gravity, it would stay in a ring. There wouldn't be several shotgun blasts of debris coming from that planet into our planet. There were like the Eonid meteor showers and whatever. There's like 3 or 4 of them. Something hit that planet and blew it up and threw a shotgun blast of stuff into Mars, Earth, and if there was Venus at that point, Venus too, and Mercury. Venus was probably a captured planet. Venus is probably the planet that came through, and one of its moons went boom and hit the fifth planet, blew it up, and then hit Earth, Mars, and Venus, and then became Venus, and really didn't do much to Mercury. something of that nature happened to this solar system, and there's that history is written in these books tens of thousands of years ago, and somebody knows that, and they're hiding it from us. Why?
I don't think anybody's hiding anything. I think that a lot of
Well, if
people
we
just
had that
don't
history, why would
understand.
you hide it? Why
I
would you
think they
hide
have
that?
Because, like I
information
was
that they
just
don't
getting ready to say,
understand.
when we
You know,
lost
there's something called the cosmic equation, where if imagine beings that have existed in some other civilization somewhere else for billions of years and have an incredible amount of technologies, stuff that we couldn't even fathom of where we're at right now. We wouldn't even be able to communicate with them. Really, it would be like trying to talk to a flea. There's that cosmic equation of a bridge, this huge gap, a gap, and they would have to be able to bridge the gap if they want to talk to us. There's no reason to talk to us, but unless they want to guide people, okay, we're going to guide you into a certain way. But it seems like anybody that's ever guided humans, it always went into a bad direction, man.
That's
And
a
here we are.
good background music. I'm sorry, Michael, for interrupting, but Joe got your background music going on there.
Yeah,
when you
he
were
needed a little
chatting.
background music. He was getting a little excited. He needed a little background music. But anyway, what I was getting ready to say was, when we lost the Library of Alexandria, we lost half or more of our history. That's just what it comes down to. Without that library, we have no fucking idea what went on.
Probably.
Yeah, how that city off the coast of Cuba was
We've
built.
got DNA,
how the
man.
Indian
The
cities
stories
were
in
built.
DNA. We've got DNA.
I'll bet you there's stories about how and when the moon arrived and the cataclysms that it created. I'll bet you there are stories of how many comets came through and either nearly impacted or the tail hit the Earth and debris in the tail collided with Earth. This planet has been through a lot. There are more meteor strikes on the surface of this planet that there would be on the surface of the moon. However, due to water, wind, and solar erosion, most of them are wiped away. But if there was no atmosphere like the moon on Earth, there would be more pockmarks, meteor strikes. Think about that. More stuff hits this planet daily, giving us more and more of a danger risk to be killed. The bigger you are, the bigger things you attract that come and hit you.
But we're still here.
There are those who say the moon is artificial.
Four or five extinction level events. The Hopi record 4, some civilizations record 5, some record 3, but there are those extinction. And how do we know? How do we know that a million years ago that the Earth was destroyed by fire or water or ice? Because that's how they go in that order. The last one was
it was
ice.
kind of the opposite.
It
That's what the Earth was at that point. And if it was terraformed, somebody would have had to put that moon in place to keep control of the tides and all the stuff on the Earth.
Without the moon, there are no tides, there is no wind,
the
there
moon
is
is quintessential to our weather, to our being, to everything. I mean, without the moon, humans would not exist. You know what I mean? So they don't know even where the moon came from. They don't really have a clue.
We would have two seasons if without the moon. It'd be like cold and winter and summer. That would be it, basically.
You wouldn't be able to regulate stuff if you can't regulate the tides. You can't regulate the flow of the sea. If there's too much salt, too little salt in the ocean,
you had a boat or a submarine.
You got ice ages. You got all kinds of things that happen. So you really can't regulate the weather unless you have a moon. I mean, but and it's in perfect harmony, isn't it? I mean,
well,
you can set your
think
watch.
about this. The moon is exactly the right diameter, and at the exact right even orbit to always perfectly block out the sun, and all you see is the corona. It's the ejections. Its orbit is almost completely circular.
You know what's funny, Jay?
Nothing else in this solar system has a circular orbit.
You know what's funny, Jay? That picture you put up of the outward satellite that took a picture of the dark side of the moon. Basically the side we don't see. Yeah, I looked at all those pictures. You ever notice how muddy the moon is and how clear the Earth is? But like they don't give you a clear shot of that moon. Even the Russians, the Chinese, the Russians. I looked at all those pictures. It's always really muddy. Like you can't see
because they have to edit it out because it's like Las Vegas on the other side of the moon.
Something like that.
What's his name? The guy who when the first two were there on the moon, Armstrong and what's his face, who was the guy? Michael Collins, I think. Michael Collins, who was in the command shuttle, when he went around to the back side, he described it as like he was looking at like Las Vegas, like you're in the desert, there's nothing, and all of a sudden, boom, there's this huge city of like hundreds of thousands of lights, and then nothing else again. That's what
Armstrong was recorded talking about all these discs in one of the craters, like
that's Armstrong on the planet, on the moon. I'm talking about
on the moon, like a parking lot.
He
said
it
was like a parking lot, and they're all watching.
The dark side, he's like, "Holy cow!" He couldn't say that because, well, he did say it and recorded it, but it didn't transmit because he was in blackout with the radio signals. But he recorded himself, and I don't know if he took pictures. He probably took pictures, but he said there was like a city the size of Vegas. You know, it's like he said, the backside of the moon is like mostly a dark, not black, but dark gray matter.
He talks about it.
There's this big city.
He talks about it, man. Like he gets interviewed, and he used to talk about it all the time.
I just think that's strange. It's got Las Vegas on the other side of the moon. I want to go.
Okay. Hey guys, listen. Merry Christmas to everybody. I got to go to work.
All right, man.
All right, be good, baby.
Be safe, dude.
Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Next week, everybody, I'll be able to deal the whole 3 hours.
Cool. Yeah, well, that's cool. That you'll have a good time. This is a different account of Mary. We'll have to read this in a second.
We'll all we should all have whiskey.
Get some rest, man.
Have some Christmas cheer. You know what I'm saying?
Eat a steak for me since I ain't had one in like a month.
I'll get some Rutter's eggnog and some Kahlua.
Okay, now you see this account here. This was written. Where's this guy at? Here he is up here. And what is that? Celsius and 175.
That's Bill Brewer.
Eat one of your orange. Oh yeah, and I can see it. Well, maybe you go back to China, you can eat it. But
I'm trying
this guy confronts Jesus along the way on one of the places he was going, and says he invented his birth.
I have a picture for that.
So this was written in 175 AD. He said this isn't long after his death.
Yeah.
It says, and so the guys, encapsulating this so people know about it. Confronted about it, he thinks, and then he says, then her husband turned her out for adultery.
Ooh.
She was found guilty of adultery and turned out. So she went roaming with her and her son.
And
it says, confuting him. As he thinks of many points, let's see, having invented his birth, that we just talked about that, born in a certain poor, she was a certain village and a poor woman of the country.
An illegitimate child.
It's been there. Married a cousin, her trade, but she was convicted of adultery after being driven away. Her husband, then it says she was wondering about, and she, what was that? Disgracefully gave birth to Jesus, an illegitimate child who was having hired himself out as a servant.
He hired himself as a slave in Egypt, yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it's an entirely different story.
It's another possible reason why they left town. I mean, I brought that up too. We don't know. We weren't there. The idea that if he was able to bring people back to life like Lazarus, the first time he did it was he pushed his friend off of a roof, killed him, ran down to see what happened, and then brought him back to life in front of full view of everybody who was watching. So, I mean, I think about that. If I were to do that at the age of 12, knock somebody off of a building, then get down to the floor where they died, and then touch them, bring them back to life, and this was a modern day time, I'd be murdered right away. People would, I don't know what would happen to me, but you'd be lynch mobbed.
I know.
How do you know the kid was dead? Maybe he's had the wind knocked out.
Everybody saw it. When by the time he got down, the parents and Mary and Joseph were down there weeping because the child had already passed.
I don't know. It's a pretty good story, though. I mean, as you read into it,
one of those things that was allegedly founded with the Dead Sea Scrolls back in 74 or whatever.
Well, no, this is just somebody. This is just works that they've collected. This is
I know.
This is number 7. This is only one of the ones that's in here. There's a bunch of them in here. This one's 80. Look at it. See, this one's 80, 55. Jesus could have still been alive at this point. No, he would have been dead. Yeah, he'd have been dead by about 15 years or so, maybe 20.
Well, if he died in 33, that's 22 2 years later.
But he
About the
wasn't
same time
born. He
Jesus
was born.
disappears from the
He was
Bible.
born before the turn of. Well, no, it's AD. It doesn't matter, does it? It's after
Well,
his
there
death.
is no year zero, so it goes.
So
It's
this is
4, 3, 2,
55.
1,
This is
1, 2,
55.
4, right?
So this is 55 years after his death.
No,
Yeah,
22
because
years after.
AD is the start. AD is after death. It's the start of the death.
No,
So
no, no. It's
anything
Anno
down.
Domini, the year of the Lord, or CE, which now would be current epic. Jesus died in 33 AD or B or 33 CE, so that would be 22 years later. About the same amount of time that Jesus was missing from the Bible.
Let's see. So all this stuff goes on and on. There's actually some good stuff in here. And all this is talking about Jesus. And if you notice, none of these are Christians that are writing this stuff.
They
A
look
lot
like
of
they're
them are
Greeks.
Romans, some of them are Greeks, some of them are actually other things as well. But the thing of it is they're talking about him in
Pliny the
full.
Younger, that's a Greek. He's Grecian. He's Grecian. Isn't he?
Yeah,
No,
this
he's
is
Roman.
AD
Yeah,
112. And the
he's
dates are
Roman.
all different. But as you go through it, and some of these stories are similar, and some of them are not.
Suetonius,
So,
he's another Roman.
So this is he's a Roman historian. Is what he is actually.
Suetonius. Yeah.
So as you go through it, I mean, they're going through.
Cephas, another one. 1893. That's closer to.
Yeah, so
when
I
the
mean,
Bible was first written,
the
for sure.
55 I think was the closest that we got, but that's 116.
No. As far as when the first official Bible was written, it's around 93. So he's the closest to when the first Bible was assembled. Tacitus is another one I've heard of. Yeah.
So they go in here, and they're talking about the different stories and the different things that they had learned.
Well, Tacitus said allegedly he had an encounter with Jesus. Tacitus was old enough to have been in the time frame when Jesus was, during his ministry. So
let's see, and what is this? Okay. His teacher was
to a poor virgin. Yeah.
He was a teacher, and his disciplines passed on his teachings to others. Disciples passed on his teachings to others. He prophesied miracles. Yeah. So the Egyptian said that even in that other story where they said his mom.
God. Now I don't know. I don't know that Jesus ever in any of the Bible before he dies claims that he's God.
The Son of God.
I don't believe he says that until after his death. I don't think he says any words to that effect until he sees Mary Magdalene.
I don't know.
3 days after he died.
I think somewhere in there he does actually. When he's talking with the disciples, I think he says he's the Son of God.
I don't believe he does.
And I'm pretty sure when he's at the Last Supper, he does too.
Are there any more? You know who we need to get? You know Michael Carter?
Mm-hmm.
We need to get him. He would know.
Let's see.
He would know.
But you see, the Egyptian said that he possessed abilities, and that's what helped him when he went home, and that's why he said he was a god. But he didn't say he was a god. Other people said he was a god.
I do believe it was more other people saying it than him. I don't think that Jesus Christ before being crucified ever once said, "I am the Son of God." I think he says it after he's dead and he comes back and he first sees Mary Magdalene and he sees the holes in his hand and the holes in his side and the thorn marks on his head.
Let's see. He was prophesied miracles. He was known for his wisdom and his virtuous life. He claimed to be God. That's more. So I noticed through the Roman theme, that's what they say.
I don't think. I'd have to go back and read the Bible again. I don't believe he
Well,
ever said.
Sorry for us. We don't have a time travel machine yet. Where's the Wayback Machine? The TARDIS is kind of on.
WABAC. Mr. Sherman said it for us.
That's right.
Oh, sorry, that's Bill. Bill doesn't know how to use the Wayback Machine. You see, Bill? Poor orange guy sitting over there in the corner. He wants out. Let me out, Daddy.
You don't need that. Think about it. You need to go out 2,000 light years into space.
And you see.
Well, no, there were no radio transmissions, so we wouldn't get any. I mean, we would have to have like really, 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 really good light collectors.
Well, you'd have to have a device where you could see things
50,000,
and collect information.
Light starscopes to pick that kind of information up.
You'd have to have a device, a quantum tunneling device, to be able to do that. Then you'd be able to go. There's no mathematical blockage to time travel.
I don't think it'd be possible. But allegedly, the aliens have video of dinosaurs. So why wouldn't they have video?
There's no mathematical blockage to time travel. If there's no mathematical blockage, it can be done. You just
Perhaps,
have
yeah.
have to
Yeah,
figure
not our dumbasses, but
We need, yeah. We, like I said,
so
we need
wait.
an
I don't even remember this earthquake and darkness after his death. I don't think I remember hearing that. I have to go read that.
Well, maybe these orbs flying around, they think of UFOs are really time travelers from our future
But
coming back.
that's when it gets interesting, though. Yeah, his followers reported that he rose from the dead. His followers worshipped him. Belief in Jesus caused disturbances with the Jews, which led to the Claudius decree for the Jews to leave Rome.
Only two people
It
ascended
wasn't
to
even a
heaven
religion
alive.
yet, and they were kicking the Jews
Well,
out of
hey
Rome.
Joe,
Only two
I
people
got a picture
ascended
you
to
gotta
heaven
see.
alive, and that was Jesus and Enoch.
Joe, I got a picture. I got to throw up here that also
Yeah,
might.
let me. I'll drop this guy.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you. We got you.
What? Who's that? Hang on
It
a
was
second
weird
here.
coming back in 2 and 3.
All right, is this on there, or do I need to go back and plug it in? You don't
No,
see
it's
that?
on. That's it. That's
All
it.
right. So, mythology: Horus, Mithras, and Jesus Christ.
That's what I was talking about before.
Yeah. Well, this is a chart that I found. I threw it up on Facebook years and years ago. I downloaded it to my phone and put it in the computer so I could show it up here tonight. Horus was born of a virgin on December 25th. Mithras, he was born of a virgin on December 25th. Horus, his birth was announced by a star in the east and was attended by 3 wise men. That sounds funny. Mithras, he was considered a great traveling teacher and master. Wow, that sounds also strikingly familiar. But all of these same things, the 12 disciples.
Yeah, but let's not forget, Jesus wasn't actually born on December 25th.
I know
that was the Christians changed that to make
they
it.
took these
here
two myths. They took these two stories of Horus and Mithras and threw Jesus into it. But they all have all the same other parallels: 12 disciples, crucified at birth and resurrected. Well, actually, Horus in the stories.
Well, then that's not a good thing because that would be Jesus. That would be his third coming. That means we're fixing to all bite the big one.
Well, there's a huge major parallel there. So if Jesus was a real man and Horus wasn't, Horus allegedly was cut into several thousand pieces, and then if depending on the story, they whittle it down to 7 wounds. He's cut into 7 pieces: arms and legs cut off, genitals cut off, head cut off. Those are the 7 pieces. And his wife / sister can only find 6 of those pieces. The 7th piece being his genitals. So she fashions a fake one and has their son with that, and he's kind of green because he's undead-ish. Let me stop sharing this. Now, let me get back to, there we go. Hello. When she, after she's done that, he's got those 7 wounds, right? Well, there were 7 wounds on Jesus: crown of thorns, the whipping, the spear in the side, 1, 2, 3, 4. The two holes in the wrist and 2 holes in the ankles. That's 4, 5, 6, 7 wounds. It's almost identical. Identical.
There's a lot of that. I mean,
so is Jesus a real person, or is he a combination of these 3 people conglomerated after they found this one idiot Jew who knocked over a moneylender's table and was crucified for it? Which one is which? I mean, they can't all 3 be true.
Yeah, they can all be true. All of them can be true. All of them can.
I'll say it like this: there are 12 deities that share identical stories with Jesus, but you got to look at the ones who tell the story. Like Moses grew up in the house of the pharaohs. Moses knew about Horus. He knew about those stories.
Yeah.
I think that when people want to glorify something, that's what they akin them to. You know, it's a generalism too. 40 days and 40 nights, right? And they were gone for 40 days. They weren't gone for 40 days and 40 nights. They're just trying to say they're gone for a long ass time. You know what I mean? Like so. But was Jesus fake? I mean, you know, yeah, Horus was sold for 30 pieces of gold. Jesus, 30 pieces of silver. You know what I mean? The stories are identical, but does that mean Horus didn't exist? I mean, does that mean Jesus didn't exist? Are they figments of people's imagination?
But were they real, or are they just branding something? Are they just like, you know, the Jolly Green Giant? You know, they're just you know, they're a figurehead they can slap on the packaging.
So if this is true, then what this would more than likely be. See, we always bitch that no one interferes. But you see, we just busted them. If what y'all are saying is true, then we just busted them interfering. So you've got the first one that came in this time frame. You've got the second one that came in this time frame. You got the third one that came in this time frame, which means somewhere in the future there'll be something like it that comes again just to help us move into a direction. It looks like each one is trying to guide humans to a particular way. And I guess if you combine them all together, it's what got us here to where we are today. Good or bad, I don't know. It's up to us to decide. But if that's true, because it would be a way to interfere and put this in humans' heads that these people helped us to move along, and this is how we repaid them. And then we kept going along. But each time one comes, it helps us a little bit more to move forward. It helps us to become more intelligent. It helps us to learn. It just helps us in general. Probably without a good bit of the Christian teachings, the world would be a more horrible place to live in today. Which, no, Jenny, I'm not a Christian. Don't even go there.
Mark has a good point here too. And I wanted to bring this up at some point during the show. The Shroud of Turin is something I've been very interested and fascinated in. The problem with the Shroud of Turin is somewhere around the 12th century, I think when it was in the possession of the Turks, it became licked by fire. It actually lit on fire. Parts of it actually burned away. And those parts that were burned away were replaced with, as best as they could in the 12th, 13th century-ish, replaced it as a fabric that was as close as to what was made back, if it was 33 AD or 34 AD when he died, if that's his actual burial shroud, they did as close as they could to repair that burn damage. However, carbon dating is affected by carbon. Fire creates carbon. When they tested and carbon dated that, they didn't carbon date the original fabric, they carbon dated the replica fabric, and they came up with the date of 12th or 13th century. Well, duh, because that was brand new fabric, hadn't been touched or licked by fire. Had they tested the unrepaired parts, they would not have gotten an accurate reading anyway, because it had been burned, and the burning would have thrown the carbon dating off by several thousand years.
You know, one of our hosts was one of the scientists who worked on Shroud of Turin.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
John DeSoto. The thing about it is they agreed that it's something significant, but they don't think it was actually Jesus. They don't think it's from the right time frame. They don't think it's modern. They don't think though that it's actually was Jesus. They're not sure what it was.
Did you see the digital recreation of the shroud?
They think, well, you see, the problem with Jesus is, if you read the Bible, Jesus is gamely. He's not pretty. Gamely means he was ugly.
Well,
he wasn't a beautiful thing like we see in the churches. That is not what he looks like. So when you see a replica of that, you know you ain't got the right thing.
The dude in this shroud is kind of gangly and sort of skinny.
But it had something to do more with the radiation and the decay of the radiation than it did anything else. Something to do with the dyes. It was just not. It wasn't even close to the right time. It wasn't that it was modern. It just wasn't from where he was, and it also had something to do with the spun silks and the stuff in the regions. This wasn't from that area of the world.
Well, that's true, Mark. But if it had come from that region, then one would expect some of that to be on there, regardless how long it was unless it had been washed or somehow steam cleaned regularly. I would imagine if you're a priest, you don't really send off a relic of your god to the dry cleaners.
I imagine you put it somewhere and don't touch it again.
Right, exactly. You put it in a glass box, you seal it for life, and you put a guard with a big halberd axe right in front of it. And I think that's where it is today still. However, but they did do an X-ray study. I don't know if it's X-ray or digital photography. It's very recent, within the last, I'd say, 15, 20-ish years. Which was kind of remarkable, because when they did that, they were able to find that there was some actual, they couldn't pinpoint it as blood, but they said there was actual DNA remnant type material on the shroud where the wounds were, like the arms, the wrists, and the spear wound. But they also were able to make kind of a digital map when they folded the two halves, because the shroud has both the back and the front of this individual, whether it's, you want to believe it's Jesus or someone else. But he is wearing a crown of thorns. There are blood marks or possible DNA marks where the thorns would have made him bleed, where the wounds in the wrist where he was hung would have made him bleed, and the spear mark in his side.
Oh, and that was the other thing. there was no actual blood.
They couldn't they couldn't tell if it was blood or not, but they were 100%.
No, they could tell that whatever
biological
machine they
material
used.
at
No,
one
they could
point.
tell. No, they could tell it wasn't blood. You know, we can bring John on. He's still a good friend of ours, but
yeah.
he'll tell you it wasn't. It wasn't when they scanned it, because the first time it was they actually cut a piece of the damn thing off. It was only about, but
Yeah,
that's when they decided
when
that
they were doing that, they actually cut off a piece of fabric they weren't allowed to or supposed to. They weren't supposed to cut from certain places, but they cut outside of those parameters, which I think is brilliant because, again, they were pointing everyone to test replica 12th century fabric, not original.
Yeah, well, this was a type of spun silk that was not found in the Middle East. You had to go way up on the other side of Europe to find it. Almost.
Yeah, it was. There's replica. That stuff was made. It was made in Italy. I mean, it was replica.
No, this is the original. This is the original shroud. This is what it's made out of. It's made out of a silk that's not, or actually, it's not just a silk. It's a woven material, but it's the material itself was not found. It just that's not where it was from. They were like, well, that don't make any sense. Why would he be buried in this here? Because it was found, where it was found, but it wasn't from there. They were kind of like, well, so they actually think that it was someone important who was traveling. Because remember, Jesus wasn't the only person who was crucified, and he wasn't the only important person.
He was crucified with two other persons, one of them being...
No, I'm not talking about then. Crucifixion was a regular thing for the Romans.
Yeah.
They did this, anybody could be crucified. Somebody said, well, what did they do because of Jesus? No, that's not why they did it. And usually it wasn't on a cross, by the way, it was on an X, but
it was on an X, not a T, but an X.
Yeah, that's usually what some people swear. I said, look, I wasn't there, I don't know, but I said most of the Romans were an X.
The T was harder to do, and required several men to once you nailed the wrist to the cross beam, you had to have at least 2 or 3 men hoist that beam and a 180-pound man or woman up 5 or 6, 10 feet up in the air to get him off the ground, and then hook that beam to the top of the next beam. Yeah, it takes too much. You put him on an X, 4 nails, takes 3 dudes, you're done.
No, I'm not saying it's Christopher. I'm not saying that's not how they did him. They may have done it. There might have been a reason why they did it like that, but. I mean, if you go by the marks, that's how they did it. It went through the top of one foot and through the other foot, but
right above the ankles for the feet, and then just behind the wrists for the arm. You have to go between the radius and the ulna bones, otherwise the weight of the body will pull through the palm. If you do the nail through the palm, the body will stay up there about 20 minutes before that palm's ripped and it falls face first.
It'll just rip. It'll rip right out. These that's they put it right here, and if they don't put it right there, if they put it right here where stigmata is supposed to, what they say it is, no. Jay's absolutely right. The sheer weight will pull it down.
Yeah, it's just little tiny bones in your hand.
Oh no, the skin will give way eventually. Yeah, it'll give way.
And
so. Besides, you got to remember, as you're pulling, you're in pain, so you're struggling, so you're making it even worse. So.
It was a gruesome way to die.
Well, no, the reason I was saying it is crucifixion. Everybody, when people hear crucifixion, they think Jesus, but this was long before him and long after him. This was just a way the Romans did it.
They still do it. They still crucify people today.
It's
very common.
When you come walking into town and you see that, it makes you think, well, I don't want to commit a crime in this town.
They still do it, man. In the Middle East, they still crucify people.
Well, and allegedly in France, they still use the guillotine as a means of execution as well.
There was a couple of things that was odd about the shroud. We talked about it. We did a couple of shows. There was a couple of things that was just odd about it. And
it's a unique fabric, and I can tell you from a photography's point of view, whatever happened to that fabric had to be some sort of like flash radiation, like weird, like a solar flare went through that room and it was like focused through some sort of crystal, and like whatever dude was buried in that tomb, like just burned his image into both sides. It is almost
maybe
like
Jesus was a light beam, and when he was leaving,
it could have been the soul leaving the body at that point. There's so many different theories on it, but it's fascinating because when the guys did the digital, whether it's digital X-ray or X-ray and digital photography, when they reconstructed it, they were amazed by how much just actual, beyond like just like a good artist, beyond that kind of reality, like photographic type reality was captured on the actual fabric. Like it was a photographic negative. That's what surprised them.
Well, because it's supposed to be an energy that came from in and pushed outwards, because
Most
it,
of them
it
were
would
trying to
have to come
debunk
from
it.
every spot. But
It was all fake
even
relic.
then, it's still hard, because I mean, anything pure energy would have left a different kind of imprint anyway. So I'm not sure what went on there. It's
Whatever it is, the guys who were trying to do, the guys who found these amazing points out, they were of the intention of debunking it, like saying, "Oh, this is just a bullshit fake, you know, artifact that the priests made up so they could get money into the church." Well, they haven't been able to debunk it, and in fact, they think it's not debunkable.
well, because nobody knows what it is, but they don't. But today's the opinion today is it's not the shroud. The shroud's not the burial cloth of Jesus. It's for some reason there's just a couple of things that were
Well,
off about it that
and
suggested.
there are only two really artifacts of Jesus. There's that, and there's allegedly it's I think it's in Turkey again. It's the alleged crown of thorns
Who's
that
got that?
exists allegedly.
I wonder
So
what kind of power you have. Oh, what's his name must have that. Aegon, whatever his name is. He must have that. That's how he keeps winning down there. Well, I mean, they say anything, even a drop of his blood would give you ultimate power.
well,
So,
imagine
I
if you
mean,
stuck his crown into your head and the blood mixed with that that's in your brain. Hey, there's Joe Fox.
hey, what's up, Foxy? Um, it's a shame. Well, what is it? So, what's his face is doomed to roam the planet to the end of the universe. So I wonder, I wonder when we get into deep space if he'll just leave, like say, screw it. I've been stuck on Earth for the last 2,000 years. I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah, I agree. It's burned into the cloth somehow, but we don't know the. We don't know
Well, the theory was
radiation. Was it light? Was it the soul leaving?
The theory is that it was an energy burst from inside the body. It was just not just the soul, because it came out in all
Human
directions.
combustion, perhaps.
Yeah, so the soul would have just came out and floated out. It wouldn't have came out on the sides and the bottom and the top and the feet and the hand. Nobody thinks that's how it would have happened. This just seems like, what it's like. It was like spontaneous combustion. It was like spontaneous combustion without actually combusting. It was just like the whole body flashed out, and each individual cell in your body must have had a piece of light coming out of it, or a piece of energy coming out of it that hit that cloth and identified it as such. Because remember, it's front and back. It's not just the front.
Yeah, and like I said, you can see the man's ribs. Whether you want to believe it's Jesus or some just Jewish guy that died, you can see his ribs. You can see his shoulder blades. You can see his buttocks. I mean, it's like an X-ray almost. It's like if it's an art piece, if it's a Da Vinci, and I don't think it's a Da Vinci, it's a brilliant fake. If it's not, then how was it made? That is the mystery.
It is the mystery. Jackie, we got to take a break in about 11 minutes. Why? What's up? Well, no, he existed, so we know the man itself existed.
Well, there are only biblical stories which aren't necessarily historical fact. A and B.
No, that's not just biblical stories. That's what we were just talking about. There's the Roman stories. There's the Muslim stories. There's the Greek stories.
There's Roman histories. It's all
no, it's in their history. That's what I'm saying. You've got 3 different governors writing to the emperor. 3 of them.
Well,
and then you've got the emperor of one of the Persian countries.
Evidence of it.
Yeah, but no, these are all writings. This was stuff we were reading earlier. You got an emperor from one of the Persian companies seeking him to help him cure him. There's actually several writings, and then there's all these other writings of these Greeks and Romans that wrote after he died about things that he did when he was alive.
If he didn't go to Asia, how does an Asian fellow know to come to the Middle East to look for Jesus?
Well, I'm thinking what he actually did was.
I think he went all the way. I think he went all the way.
I think he did this now, but he left the Middle East. He went up. He went up, probably didn't realize he had probably passed up Italy, going up and came back. And as he came back to come around, the edge of Persia, I'm not Persia, edge of Asia's right there. So if the guy was coming and he was going, they could have just bumped anywhere in that area. They could probably met anywhere in there. They might have met India or Pakistan or anywhere in that area.
I'm saying, allegedly he made it to India. At least he made it at least that far. India
He probably
is
did
in
make it in India.
Asia. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't. That's not a big problem that he was there. He was, he probably did quite a bit of traveling. He was young. He's out and about.
I couldn't find the actual. There's one or two actual paintings that were painted back, early, like 11th, 12th century, and that's when I guess the first ideas of Jesus and Buddha meeting came from. But the paintings of those show Jesus of at least in his 30s. Or around the same time as when he would be crucified. So however time he was when he gets to Asia, it seems it had to have been late. So I think that was the end of his 21 years of wandering, when he leaves the Bible and he comes back at the age of 30, 33, 35, whatever they say, the Bible says, and then he's crucified. So that I think is, I don't think he went to, I think he went through Egypt and across Asia Minor, through Lower Asia, through India, and then back across into.
And see, that's the other problem about the crucifixion or being crucified. So he came back and he was screwing around for a while, and then he met Mary Magdalene. Then they were together for a while. Then they got together, and then they had kids.
Well, it wasn't until he meets Mary Magdalene that he starts the ministry. At the same, they're almost synonymous.
That's what I'm saying. So it couldn't have been. He'd already had to been home a couple of years when he met her. So by this time, he was probably 35, 36, 37. They got together and they had kids. And really, the rumor is 4 kids over, well, it could be anywhere from 5 years to a decade. And they talk about his youngest daughter was old enough to understand what he was doing. So he had to be in his 40s.
Yeah, and allegedly, I think the age of Sarah, which is the alleged daughter of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, was around 13, 14 when they got to London.
So I mean, the thing of it is,
and that's right.
He was older. He was at least a decade older than what we were told, which would make sense because he had joined the church. He was a pastor.
12 BCE.
Yeah, he had joined the church. He became a rabbi. He had gotten married and became a rabbi, and they mentioned him preaching for a while. He'd been going around all over Israel and just well, wasn't Israel back then, but he was going all over preaching, performing miracles, feeding the masses, getting rid of the people with what the hell was that disease that we still can't get rid of today?
COVID? Oh shit!
No, not COVID. The one that just eats your skin off. And anyway.
Well, there's MRSA is one of the skin-eating diseases.
Yeah, it's anyway. It used to be a thing people used to talk about because it's still incurable today. But
leprosy.
Yeah, leprosy.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, he was doing stuff like that and feeding them all too. I mean, it's interesting to me that the church wants to confine him and keep him so young. Does it pull on our heartstrings more to think he was like 33 and shot down in the prime of his life, or he sacrificed himself in the prime of his life? It just doesn't make any sense. And if he did, shame on us humans for allowing it to happen.
Yeah.
It's all Michael's fault. He did it.
So leprosy is a chronic infectious disease. It affects the skin, nose, upper respiratory tract, and can be caused by the bacterium Mycobacterium leprae or Microbacterium lepromatosis.
Stay away from leopards, people.
It's not necessarily skin eating, but it's the same idea.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Here's a question here that says, does it still exist? Key points. Each year, up to 225 people in the United States and 250,000 people elsewhere around the world are diagnosed with Hansen's disease, also known as leprosy. Wow. Still not killed. It's still not. I mean, we've destroyed polio until somebody brought it back.
I just seen a special on polio earlier tonight. Yeah, it was kind of interesting that a young guy came from nowhere to do that. It's Jamie Ray. He existed as a human. Just there was well, no, there was two other groups. So there was the Muslims mentioning him, but there was another religious group over there that actually mentioned him as well. And then the Romans mentioned him. The Romans mentioned him when in a couple of places. They mentioned him during the crucifixion. Okay, then Pontius Pilate. They also mentioned him when he was visiting Rome. So as far as Rome's concerned, yes, he existed. I think that's why Rome today doesn't even argue about it, because they know damn good well he was in Rome. So there's no doubt for them. The doubt comes for other people. But, you know, the Muslims weren't going to write a fictitious person down in their Bible. Why bother? What would it have been meant? They weren't trying to convert Christians. So they don't even like Christians. Most times you see a Christian, they want to kill them. Not all Muslims, but a lot of them.
Well, yeah, check this out. What about the Zoroastrians? Here's a little clip I found. They do believe in a type of messianic figure known as Sao Shiant, and this conception does align somewhat with that of Jesus, but not explicitly. Strange. Why would especially a dead religion, Zoroastrianism? It's contemporary with Judaism and Islam. I think it was dead before Christianity began. But think about that. I mean, that's a fourth, although dead, religion that mentions someone like Jesus Christ, who comes and heals the sick and the wounded and promises.
Well, it was something that was needed back then. I mean, I think things come along and people come along at different times in our history because we need them to help us to change. You know, like, you know, I use like somebody tells me all the time, but can I give a modern example? Yes, Martin Luther King. He came along and he had good morals, good values, and he died for his cause, which seems to be the way they all end. And just for some reason, I don't know who the next one's going to be. Jeffrey, do you think it's going to be Trump? Maybe it will be Trump. I don't know.
Maybe it'll be his vice president. You know, I mean.
So when I
that poor man just a few weeks ago, so.
So when I let me see if it'll let me pull this up right quick. People got good imaginations. Here you go.
My buddy German Shepherd's out back barking at the world.
He's like, don't mess with me, Daddy. He's like, don't mess with me, Daddy. I'll get you.
Really? There was a Jesus camp? I'm glad I missed that.
So they just people's. Damn, that's a lot of kids there. You
that
damn
looks AI.
Boy. Put that thing back.
Is that the same actor that plays the caveman for the Geico commercials? It looks like him without the makeup.
See, but I mean, you go through this, and there's lots of these pictures. Now they all represent something different. None of them have less than 4 kids in them, though. By the way.
Yeah, and then almost all of them show Jesus as a white Caucasian man instead of a brownish Middle Eastern man.
Yeah, it's when it comes to being from Israel, there's a range of colors you can get over there, from light whitey tighty to sandy brown.
But back in his time, there's very few.
Oh no, I agree with you. No, back in his time, I would have definitely thought he would have had kinkier hair, and
he's got dreadlocks, really
not
bad,
like an African
matted beard hair, and he's almost
no
brown.
Chris. Middle Easterns have a different kind of hair, and they tend to be a lighter, just like a medium brown, light to medium brown, and that's what I would have expected him to be. Remember God's a Caucasian,
then the Transformer called the Agent Simmons in the Transformers movie. You pubic fro-headed dude. That's what it's like.
Oh Lord.
I wouldn't say it. It's a fantasy TV movie.
Well, no, actually. Well, no, Christopher. No. So most
well,
beliefs.
that brings up a point I said earlier. What were they just making a figurehead? I mean, it's like advertising branding. That's all it is. What is Jesus a real dude, or was he just some kind of branding? I mean, look. I mean, it's like Ronald McDonald. It's like Bozo the Clown. Pick one.
So yeah, I mean, when you get into all of this,
It's
it's
marketing. It's advertising.
there's lots of marketing here.
It's the
There's lot.
oldest marketing campaign on the planet, and it still works. They own the largest plots of realty and
Well,
real property.
the
And by real property, I don't mean just like land and buildings. I'm talking like gold and silver and statues and like artwork and fantastic things that should be shared by the public that they have locked up in the basement of the Vatican.
Let's see. No, we don't need to know any of that. I was hunting down something that would give us, because when you look up Jesus's bloodline, there's so many things that come up. It gets ridiculous.
It appears that many king lines of Eastern Europe tend to have or claim that geneticism. Merovingians, the Plantagenets, all of them.
Oh, the Sinclairs swear they're the direct descendants of Christ.
So do the Plantagenets, and so do the what do you call them? The other guys I mentioned.
Let's see, the royal bloodline descendants of Jesus and Mary Magdalene.
Yeah,
that's
why the Merovingians. It's like Mary. I don't. Just because your name sounds like Mary doesn't mean you're related. It includes King David and Solomon.
And there are rumors that there are writings about Jesus' time.
Well, read that one that says royal bloodline. It says Jesus met Mary Magdalene at the house of the local ... Local what?
Well, what do you think the local what?
Local madam?
Maybe so. It's hard to say. What it could have been
anything. Unless it's clickbait. Let's read what it says.
No, we ain't clicking on more stuff. We're out of here. It's wait, what did I do?
Out of here. We got a half an hour. Oh, you're gonna do a commercial.
Yeah, we get ready to do a commercial in a second. I'll take up 10 minutes, but well, no, guys. I mean, the more you look in it, here we go. Genealogy of Jesus. Oh no, this could be a nightmare.
Oh,
this could be a nightmare.
This is where the proper Irish phrase.
Oh, here you go, man. Here you go. Oh man,
what happened?
I mean, no. Look at it. Look at this. This is ridiculous.
It's not up there. You have to.
There's Jesus right there. No, there's Jesus. There's Mary.
You have to share that screen, Joe. You share.
I didn't share the screen. Ah, shit.
You have to change the screen.
Let me change screens here. Let me get rid of this. Hey, where'd it go? Close already, thing. All right, where's it at? Present screen, share screen. The genealogy of Jesus. There you go.
No kidding.
That is effing ridiculous, is what that is.
Who is Zerubbabel? I mean, does that come from the Tower of Babel? What the hell? Mahalalel? I guess it's like ancient Michael.
I wonder if you can run this in Ancestry.com.
I wonder.
So it's Jesus and Mary.
Well, there's some Egyptian names up there. There's some weird
So this is genealogy through Jesus, genealogy through Mary.
Well, where's Eve? They have Adam up there. They have Noah. Where's Eve?
Well, there's God and there's Adam.
Where's Eve? That's what I'm saying. Where's Eve? She's not up there.
Oh man, where is
she? Fictional. There's no Eve.
She's Eve. Eve would have been the mother of all.
Yeah, you would think she'd be on there.
I guess maybe back then they didn't count.
Hezron, those are both Egyptian.
There's Enoch. There's Nathan. Wait, there's no women on this list except for her.
Well, Ressa Zerubbabel is a female. Mary's a female.
Yeah, no, Mary's supposed to be there. All the rest of these look like guys.
Leah is a female.
It don't look like.
There's a few other females on there, but still, though, where's the key female that should be on there is not. Neither is now. Which Mary is that? Is that Mary?
So Mary's not. So Mary is not a descendant of Eve.
Well, then which Mary is it? Is it Mary Magdalene or Mary, his mother?
No, it's supposed to be Jesus through Mary.
Which Mary? That's what I'm asking. His mother or his father? I mean, his mother or
Jesus'
his wife?
genealogy through Mary. That's got to be his mother.
It's got to be his mom. All right. So then, which Mary is this down here? Is that her or is that Mary Magdalene?
So that's his mom.
That's mom. Well, then where is Mary Magdalene? She should be next.
No, because
Under
this is Jesus through Mary. Mary Magdalene's not related to him. This is all people related to Jesus.
Well,
Through
all of his
Mary.
children would be, so they should be recorded on this
So,
list.
let me rephrase it. That's not even true. These people are all related to Mary, and Jesus is related to them through
Bathsheba
Mary.
was a female.
And so all of these people, all these great people.
Hell was Mary's father. Did you read that? Go all the way down. Hell was Mary's father. How do they know that? Keep going. Underneath Jesus. It says hell right there. Hell was Mary's father. How do they know that?
It's not. It's Heli, like Ellie, Heli.
Is that an I? I can't tell.
Yeah, it's Heli. Yeah. When I first
Isn't
looked
that
at
short
those
for helicopter for back then?
I don't know what the hell that is. And I mean, all this goes on and on and on and on. I mean, the genealogy is crazy. No, what we were showing y'all is all the people Jesus is related to, and there's some serious names on that list.
What if those spots on the Turin shroud aren't blood, but are some sort of DNA codable material that they can get a DNA swab off of?
Well, I know they looked at it. If I remember correctly, I know they looked at it twice. They went over it really good. There was a team of experts.
The last time was very, very fine tooth going over. Like I said, they used X-rays and really.
Yeah, they did all sorts of experiments on it.
Right, and they made like a computer model out of what they got.
For some reason, I don't even remember why now. For some reason, they just didn't think it was Jesus. They were under the impression that maybe it was something else, maybe like an extraterrestrial.
It doesn't matter who's on the Shroud of Turin. It really doesn't matter who it is. The fascinating thing is that they were able to pull enough data off of the emulsion film high density pictures they took to create basically a 3D CAT scan of the man who was dead inside of that thing. Aside from his living organs, which were obviously taken out, everything else is there. His bones and his skin and the way he looked.
Think about what you just said. Okay. I didn't even think about it until you just said that. His organs were taken out and he was fully wrapped.
It's just a big cavity where his stomach.
Yeah.
There's no
who does that? No. Stop and think about what you're saying though. Who does that?
Egyptians.
That's right. So, oh man, see that changes a lot of stuff.
I think the Jews also do that. That's like the first thing because everything but the
we'll
brain.
have to check into that, ladies and gentlemen. If anybody's, I didn't mean to cut you off. Anybody's listening who knows anything about Jewish burials back in the day?
Look it up.
I'm not talking about
Let me see if I can find something.
Because this is important. We're pretty sure that Jesus visited Egypt. Maybe he made some friends there.
There were some rumors that said he sold himself as a servant.
Oh yeah, we were reading that earlier. That's right, as a servant.
Jewish funeral customs, funeral partners. Let's see.
Preparing a body for burial, I guess, which you'd want.
Preparing the body. In line with Jewish law, the body is washed but not embalmed before being dressed in a plain burial shroud. It's overseen by a group of Jewish men and women known as the Shevra Kadisha, who remain with the body until burial to ensure it is protected and prepared according to Jewish traditions. Let's see what else. They wear a shawl, cremation, food. They don't really say about taking the organs out. They do accept cremation.
It just I never heard about it.
Organ donation is accepted across all Jewish practice as it can save lives.
All right, y'all.
That's a modern thing. That's not
thing, I was attacked by a Christmas tree.
Oh no!
I think Jesus said, "Stop talking about him."
Oh, poor thing is glowing with pride.
You don't know nothing. I would have to agree with you mostly on. What's that, Jackie Ray? No, we got to play this song. We're only doing a song because we got to quick because we ain't got much time left. But we got to squeak it in. It's I don't know. It's a religious song of some sort.
Oh no!
Yes, it's the most beautiful version of Hallelujah in the world. Well, we'll see. We'll let us judge on that. I'm sure it's got to be religious if that's the name of the song. It might not be religious in the way I think of religious, but still. It's Jay's fault.
I didn't do it. That's my dog barking. He did it.
But whatever it is, it's Jay's fault. Oh no, we'll blame Sean Hazlitt since he ain't here.
We bring Sean Kelly for that matter. He left early.
What happened, man? What happened?
He's eating. Oh, close your ears. This song's gonna make you crazy. So
not that again.
That's a different, but it's worse. So here we go. Well, it's not worse, but it's not the kind of music we usually. Let me put it this way: for all our regular listeners,
Lucy Thomas,
who are just visiting with their families for Halloween. For Christmas.
For Halloween.
This is the kind of music we play, but normally people, just so y'all know, we usually play a little bit harder music on this particular show. But anyway, let us cue this up and bring your children around, light the fire in the fireplace, pop some popcorn, get some hot chocolate out. I'm drinking some right here, and we can all enjoy.
Wow. No, come on. Was that AI? That can't be real. Was that AI?
No, that was real. That's an oldie goldie too, man. She's been around for a while. It was oh, people.
I had to actually write in the chat room, WT actual F was that.
It's she's well, actually, sorry, Janie. My favorite version of Hallelujah would be from Elvis's probably version. As far as amazing.
Jack Diamond is the guy I listen to on the morning going to work. He's a radio DJ that I listen to, and he said that Elvis was the first one to record the song "White Christmas." I thought it had been Bing Crosby, who Bing Crosby is the most famous, but I had always thought it was Bing Crosby who recorded it first. It was Elvis Presley.
I always thought it was Bing took. Yes, Bing took it from him. I didn't know that.
I think it said it was 1951 or 57, something like that. It was not 50s number, 1951 or 57.
Yeah. Well, I know Elvis did a lot of weird music, and I know he did a lot of religious music too. He's very
he was taught how to do that dance move, I'm Nothing But a Hound Dog by Forrest Gump. You ain't nothing but that's the dance I'm talking about, where his knees go all wonky.
Ain't nothing but a hound dog. I sing that to my dogs all the time. Except for my one, she does catch rats, so she's on my list.
Yeah, but your dogs aren't hound dogs. As a matter of fact, neither is mine.
But she thinks she's a hound dog. But
hound dogs look like this.
She will track a mouse.
Their lips are all they have like lips that like drag on the floor.
You'll hear her start making it squeal, and so I'm like, "What are you doing?" All of a sudden, poof, she's gone. I'm like, "What are you doing?" "Oh man, there's a mouse." She's like, "I got your ass going, and Daddy's on his way to get you."
Do you remember a Christmas a Christmas Story? The kid that wants the BB gun.
Yeah.
Throughout the movie, the father is completely, befounded by the neighbors' bloodhounds. It's hilarious. They all have the big floppy ears and floppy faces.
What was it today? I had seen what the number 1, 2, and 3 Christmas movies were today. The first one was Lampoon's National Christmas.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I forgot what number 2 was.
Die Hard. Die Hard is the best Christmas movie.
Die Hard's a good one.
Elf was number 2. Oh, and number 3. What was number 3? Oh man. Oh, the one with the kid that stays at home.
Home Alone.
Yeah. Those are your top 3 Christmas movies, in case anybody was caring.
That one's only good because of the sheer comic, like cartoon level violence, like the hot irons to the face, frying pans. That's the only reason, because of the violence or the perceived violence.
What's that, Jesse? Amazing Grace. This is the last show. This is our last Christmas will be gone, and we won't be playing Amazing Grace for New Year's. I can tell you that now.
Old Lang Syne, or I don't know.
There'll be a lot of hard rock next week because we'll be rocking in the New Year. It's we can play whatever the fuck we want on here. Excuse my French, but we can. I mean, you can kiss my ass. We'll just go put it on private or delete it, one or the other. Yeah. No, we like to play music on here. We liked it. We play, I was just thinking the other day I wanted to play what the hell are their names?
ABBA.
ABBA. Just shoot me down.
That's a name, not names.
Dancing Queen.
Just put me out of my mind now. No, Closer to the Edge. Who sings that? Closer to
Or
the.
was that the Bee Gees?
No, who sings that song? Closer to the Edge.
Pee Wee Herman.
Oh yes,
And the Harmonettes.
yes, it's Close to the Edge.
Yeah,
Close
no,
to the edge, down
that's
by
not
the
who it is.
river.
It's something new. Oh,
That one?
man.
The Moody
No,
Blues, man.
Screaming and
Nights in
hollering
white
and
satin.
It's
Peter Gabriel,
never
Closer to the
reaching
Heart.
the end.
Huh?
Moody
Oh, no,
Blues.
sorry.
Yeah.
Peter Gabriel's Rhythm of the Heat. Is that what you're talking about? He
See,
screams in that one.
no, this is some fucking group. Excuse my language. They're like one step closer to the edge. Lincoln Park. That's who it is. It's
Okay.
We're-
Newer
we're-
stuff. And they spelled Lincoln wrong, by the way, people.
yes, well, you know, they it looks more like the Lincoln Park.
Linkin. I don't think there's any park in the United States named Lincoln Park.
LinkedIn Park is kind of how it's spelled.
Weren't they Russian? Were they Lincoln? So
No, they only got 2 songs that I like, but at least they got 2 that I like. But I do like One Step Closer to the Edge.
Yeah, but then there's groups like Yes that have like 7 albums that are like albums, not just songs. Albums.
Yes is old shit, man. Throw that shit in the
They're old.
garbage.
They
Throw
have
that shit in the garbage. If it's more,
they have 7 award-winning albums. That's pretty fantastic.
Joe wants to listen to
more
that
than
P. Diddy.
15 years old, you need to throw that shit in the garbage.
You want that P. Diddy.
No, P. Diddy can suck my Diddy. But
his famous song, Oil 'Em Up.
He was never a good singer, even when he was popular, to be honest with you.
No, we know how he made his money now. Yeah.
Baby
And it
oil.
wasn't from singing either.
A lot of baby oil.
Anyway, real quick. I know we're getting short on time. So, you know, one of my biggest bitches I bitch about all the time is when people say, we got to get rid of guns. And I always tell people, you bitch about guns. Guns do kill people. Not near as many people as cars kill. Cars kill shitloads of people. On top of that, they maim shitloads of people. And on top of that, they're bad for the planet, whether electric or gas. Because if they're electric, they still got to have gas and make their electricity. And they got to be shipped all over the world to get them here. So regardless how you go, it's all the way around a bad thing. But I never hear anybody say, let's get rid of our cars. Well, today in Germany, guy just mows through a cow, kills 2 people, maims 68, just plowing through. Happy Merry fucking Christmas to you people.
Through a Christmas market.
Yeah, through a Christmas market, just which is a thing over there.
A Muslim doctor. He was a doctor too.
Yeah, from Saudi Arabia. It was I was just like, look at this shit. And then what was it, 12 years ago, 13 years ago?
And why do people want to continue to work with these people who continue to say things like death to the West, death to America, death to Israel?
Saudi don't usually scream death to America.
We either make peace with these people or we blow them off the effing planet.
Well, no, Saudis, you know, and they're not attacking America, they're attacking Europe. But because somebody drove, what was in France? Where was it when they drove the rig through?
They're attacking us or not.
But my point being is, you know, people always bitch about guns, and I always say the same thing. First off, guns don't kill people; people kill people.
People with guns kill people.
And if you take guns away, they're going to find bigger and better ways to kill us. Well, obviously, this guy just goes out and rents a BMW today and plows through the cloud. And I mean, it's an easy thing, you know. You're not going to stop people from killing people because you get rid of guns. Hey, Roseanne. Hey, Mark.
Wasn't there a dude in California who like broke into like one of those places where they have old military equipment that's like not working but working still, and he stole a tank and drove through California?
Yeah, I remember the guy went driving all over the tank. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he killed anybody, but he created a lot of. I mean, he crushed a lot of cars. He crushed not just cars, but like tractor trailers. You know,
he mowed all kinds of stuff.
90,000 tons.
Oh, see, she came in to correct you and tell you Lincoln Park is a neighborhood in Chicago. Shame on you didn't know that.
Is it
Shame on
spelled
you.
that way? Is it spelled that way?
That's how she's got it spelled up on the board.
Well, okay.
See,
I've never been to Chicago, so I
learn something every day. Learn something every day. What was that? Oh no, I like some of that insane music, like One Step Closer to the. Oh yeah, that shit. I love that shit. I love all kind of. What are you talking about? 5 Finger Death Punch. I love 5 Finger Death Punch, even though all they say in most of their songs is, "Don't ever listen to."
I only heard about them because they were on what their bass player, I think, was on counting cars with that guy who like buys cars and flips them.
Don't ever listen to House at Holy, because the first about the first 2 minutes is pretty much that's pretty much the whole 2 minutes. Then they get into the House of the Rising Sun. I told the people, it's just what they do. They got a couple good songs. I'm not hating on them. I mean, they got a couple good songs. Thrash metal. I don't think thrash metal would categorize it. I don't even know why we need these categories for music. It's just badass music.
Well, have you heard of the? There's a thing in Ohio called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it.
Well, it doesn't have just rock and roll. It has jazz and hip hop, and so why call it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when it has all genres? You should call it the Hall of Music.
Yeah, Music Hall of Fame.
Yes, Music Hall. Thank you.
That's
but to call it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and to have more people in it that are not rock and roll bands kind of offends me, and I'm kind of pissed because some of my bands that I'd like to be in there are not and should be because they're rock and roll bands, and others that are not are.
It's oh wait, hold on, wait.
Man, I'm gonna bail out. I'll see you guys.
Yeah, we'll get ready to get out of here ourselves in a minute.
Right, take it easy, Mike.
Thanks, Michael.
Have fun. I'll see you next week.
Oh yeah, it's good. Oh no, we can't play this. And I'll have
Sing everything I said before.
We'll leave it like that. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Linkin Park, One Step Closer to the Edge, just in case we barely got out of there. Y'all got 5 minutes. I got any questions y'all want to get in? And, oh no, we can't get in any more about Jesus Night, not in 5 minutes. Actually, that's who you need to write to about that theory? Michelle DeRoche. Yes. She knows all about him, his kids, and his family, and where they came from and where they are today. And a lot of people seem to think that the Templars were where his kids went. I hope not, because all of them ended up dead, or most of them did. Who was it who portrayed him? The French? I don't remember. One of the kings or queens. Somebody portrayed him, hunted them down, killed them. They wanted their money, their treasures. Remember, the Templars went through the Middle East, through the Crusades, robbing and pillaging and raping.
For centuries, they did this.
Yes, for centuries.
They were the first people to create a bank.
They really had a lot of stuff. So I can't remember which king it was.
They didn't just disappear. They did get hunted down quite a bit. A lot of them were killed and burnt to death. But they did reorganize as the Rosicrucians.
See, it just changes. Everything stays the same but different.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it would be interesting to know who his kids were today, who the descendants. So it's been 2,000 years, so the bloodline's probably thinned quite a lot. But I would even imagine just 1% of his blood should give you some abilities.
Well, and if he was godlike or non-human or half human, half god, whatever you want to call it, his blood and or his body and or his organs, his internal makeup may also be considerably different than ours. Externally looking exactly like, but internally, maybe not.
That's why he took the organs. Who knows?
We don't know. The Shroud of Turin, there's no organs inside of the image on the Turin shroud.
Jesse Venture? Why do I know your name? Oh, okay, yeah, I do. Mr. UFO, I know why now. Okay, it took me a minute. What's up? Well, no, I said that earlier. I was a GM for a company, for a restaurant, making big money, especially this was 30 years ago, making really big money. And then I was talking with one of my shift managers one afternoon. I said, wouldn't it be interesting if Jesus Christ was an extraterrestrial? Next day, I was fired. I should have sued the shit out of him, but I didn't really think about it at first. And it was funny because 2 days earlier, I had just gotten a raise, and they called me that following morning and said, "Hey, we don't think you're going to work out for us." And they gave me a big, huge severance.
I would have taken that first paycheck I got after being fired to a lawyer's firm and be like, "This is what happened. Boom, here's my paycheck. Will this be enough to cover the beginning
Yes.
investigation?
Well, no, they gave me
I already got some more money out of them than they actually they gave you a lot, but
yeah, they hooked me up pretty good, but it's
you could have been
later on.
for life if you had done it right.
Yeah, and I should have, because there was no other reason, because the raise coming in 2 days earlier was pretty much given that they didn't have plans on getting rid of me. But they didn't have to say it, and they never said it was because of that. They never ever at one time said that's what it was because of.
I don't know what state this is in, but was it a right to work state, or do you know, or do you remember?
It's a hippie, so I'd have to check and see. It's a hippie 30-something years ago, so I don't know what kind of bullshit they had going on here. And these people had a lot of
Maryland.
money.
It's a right to work state, and any company can fire you on the whim for no reason whatsoever. They don't have to give you a reason. They can say you're fired, leave.
I'm pretty sure it's how it is down here too.
The weird thing about those kinds of states is I've always found that, well, if it's all right for them to go, hey, by the way, thanks for coming in today, thanks for working all those 6 hours, but don't bother to come in tomorrow. As a matter of fact, we're going to escort you off the premises and clean out your locker. That's kind of brutal to do to somebody, for one thing, but I lost my track of thought. We were talking about just before then. Remind me, please, Joe. God.
It's wait, what? Okay, my screen just all switched around real quick. What the hell was that?
How was I going with that? What was a good
I
one?
don't know, but now I would tell you, but now I don't know what we were talking about because my screen just played. Let's play.
Oh, did I freeze up? Damn it.
No, you still there. Oh, no, I can't see it, but I'm not here.
Well, still, though, I mean, have we established the actual historical presence of Jesus? I don't know. We have hearsay by Roman governors. We have hearsay by the.
We have no. It's not hearsay. We've actually got physical writing.
Is it actual historical records? Can we prove
it? It is. It's actual Roman. Well, Romans actually kept really good records. It's one of the nice things about it.
Well, then, is there an actual record of Pontius Pilate signing the death warrant for Jesus of Nazareth?
I've never seen one.
I mean, that would cinch it for me. I mean, there's just a couple of fat, rich governors of Rome speaking about Jesus. Was Jesus in their city, or did they just hear about Jesus and were talking about him publicly?
But I don't know if it's in Iran or Iraq, but somewhere has the writing request of the emperor for Jesus when he visited. So they actually got that framed. It's actually in a glass thing. They've actually got that. So that proves he existed and he was there. But they say Persia, and I don't know what the fuck Persia means back then. I don't know what country Persia was.
Persia is where I believe Iran is.
Iran? Linda says it's Iran.
I believe it's where Persia is. Yeah, Persia was King Darius the first and King Darius the second. King Darius the second is the one who was first protected by UFOs allegedly against Alexander. And then when Darius II went after Alexander and cornered him at the Mediterranean, either the same UFOs or another set of UFOs protected Alexander against Darius, and then because of that, Alexander won Persia. He wasn't even in Persia. He was in Judea, actually.
Is it Catacomb 1? They're supposed to be the complete Roman documentary of Jesus himself. So there's supposed to be lots of documents, not just one or two.
If those documents are legit and can be found or are found and can be legitimized, that's kind of significant, especially because, I mean, if the Roman Empire was probably, and the German Nazis modeled themselves after the Roman SPQRs, if they were that meticulous, they probably would have taken expert notes and records of Jesus's time in prison, because he was tortured several times for information, or whatever. For whatever reason, he was tortured, and then he was paraded through town carrying part of the cross he was going to be murdered on, wearing a crown of thorns allegedly, and being lashed by whips as he went along. I'm sure people in the crowd were throwing crap at him, probably actual crap and fruit and vegetables and rocks.
Oh, I have no doubt about that.
I mean, think about it. I mean, he was like the number one. He was like, the FBI's most wanted dude.
Dean, one last question. We got to go. What you got? Well, the Muslims talk about him not just in So that's what it was. So he's mentioned in the Quran
Yeah.
and in the Jewish and in the Muslim Bible. So he's
Well,
mentioned in both of them.
the Jewish Bible, yes, but I'm only in passing in the Jewish Bible. I think he's
But
mentioned
he's
more
still,
times.
but he's mentioned by name though. That's the thing. He's
He is
mentioned
mentioned by
name.
name, and so is John the Baptist in both
Yeah,
Bibles,
and
both
then
other Bibles.
and in the
But
Muslim
less
Bible,
so in
he's
the Jewish than the Muslim versions.
and then in the Muslim Bible, he's mentioned more than once by name.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So there's no doubt that he existed. Both of the Bibles documented because both of them were anti-Christian. So and they both hated each other. That's the best part.
Well, both of them were anti-Christian. One of them no longer is.
Well, yeah, well they weren't back then they weren't Christians, but anyway, regardless, the Jews and the Muslims hated each other regardless. So the fact that they both documented the person says a lot about him. And then of course you get the Roman governors documenting him, you get the Persian emperor documenting him. So there's enough documentation to say, okay, he existed. And then there's these writings that we were reading a little while ago from all these different Greek and Romans talking about different things like the rewriting of Mary and how she ended up being tossed out for adultery and stuff like that. I mean, there seems to be quite a few writings about him after the fact, but not by the Jews or the Muslims, by the Romans and the Greeks, based on the knowledge that they had from when he visited Rome. Matter of fact, he must have visited Greece. But what is Greece? Like across the Mediterranean from Rome? From Italy? Well, which wasn't even Italy at the time, but still. It was just the Roman Empire back then. Well, I guess that's true because the Romans probably controlled Greek. Yeah. At that time, the Romans had conquered Greece. The cat said, I'm ready to party like it's night. Tell him we're going to party like it's 2025, buddy. So did you say it's time night? They'd see mine. I'm surprised mine ain't come in here to get me yet. It's cold in the house. Your parents like, get in bed. Christopher, last question. I said that 5 minutes ago. Last question. What is it? Oh, you mean theme shows? You can suggest a theme. Yes. No, we didn't want to get into a biblical thing tonight. We may tackle that in the future. Well, as Jay was telling you earlier, the Gospels are pretty much the history of Jesus.
But again, like we said, there's also 21 years ish of missing data that was allegedly is some. I don't know if it's the Apocrypha or one of it's something that was found either sooner after the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Now, by saying that, some of the stuff we were reading on these codexes. Yeah, no, I'm getting tired on these early Bibles from 330 and stuff like that.
Codexes.
Yeah. That's
not tampons, books. Codex.
Oh, sorry, I don't know how that
It's
slipped
late.
out like that.
I mean, I've been up since 5:30. It's 1 o'clock here.
But anyway, some of those suggest that the stories of how this went down were different than what we get today in this. And remember, the Old Testament is just a Jewish history. It's
just Jewish.
Pretty much.
It's called the Mideastern region. It's just
but that's true too. Because in all fairness, I think when it started, they weren't any Jews, were they?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, there's a lot of stuff went on in there. People don't forget about Moses roaming around in the desert, causing shit and problems.
He lived for 800 or 900 years. His father,
but like
1,000 years, and
we've talked about that
5,000 or 6,000 years or 9,000.
But you know what? But the thing of it is people forget they counted bloodlines by the mothers, not by the fathers. So that name, no matter what, whatever the first name was, the last name was going to be the same. So if you were doing just repeating the same name, then look, you don't know if it was the same person or if it was a son or grandson or great grandson. See, that's the sticky wicky when it comes to the mom carrying the name versus the dad. But hey guys, I don't make the rules, and I definitely wasn't making any rules back then. We gotta go. If we don't see y'all before Christmas, which, yes, we will. We're going to be on tomorrow. Yeah, we're going to be on tomorrow. Anyway,
Wednesday is Christmas, so no, there's no show.
Yeah, so, and then no show on Wednesday, and then we'll be back on Friday. Excuse me. But we will see y'all tomorrow. Stay out of trouble to them. Come stop. You can stop shopping long enough to listen to us tomorrow. Yes. Well, Jay and I got to talk because we supposed to be trying to figure out how we're doing the other show.
Yep.
Don't give me no trouble, people. Go to bed. Santa Claus don't come to people who are awake. You know that, right? Go your ass to bed. It's Friday night. You should already be in bed. It's 1 o'clock in the morning where Jay lives. It's midnight. I know you're in LA. It's only 10 o'clock. Screw you. Anyway, good night. And we'll see y'all tomorrow. Jesus, go to bed, people.